Chapter 1413. Jun Changshao wanted to complete the prestige mission, so he had to develop some businesses. Currently, he only had one business, the pill store, so he could only think of ways to increase his influence. Pill Hall. An authoritative organization focused on alchemy. If he could establish a close cooperative relationship with this organization, it should be able to improve the reputation of the sect. Feng Guichen said seriously, the 7 chief alchemists all work part-time in the major sects. If the patriarch recruits them, it will definitely cause strong dissatisfaction. It doesn't matter. Jun Changshao said, I have a backer. If Jinren Tonggu heard this, he would probably vomit blood on the spot. Of course. Jun Changshao was just speaking casually. If he really wanted to recruit the 7 chief alchemists, he would definitely need to plan carefully so that the major sects wouldn't be able to find fault with it. Patriarch Yuan Gongzi suggested, in the past 2 years, our production of medicinal herbs has been increasing day by day. Why not open a medicinal herb store in Lin Yuan City? Medicinal herbs were not as profitable as pills. However, ordinary seeds planted in the sect's medicinal fields could produce heaven and earth treasures, so they could also make a lot of money by selling them. What's more, in the past 2 years, because of the lack of alchemy talents, the refining of pills had been slow, so the sect had accumulated a lot of medicinal herbs. Selling some of them for real money was not a bad idea. Okay. Jun Changshao approved. It was necessary for the sect to diversify its businesses. In the future, they might try to expand into real estate, the internet, cars, airplanes, aviation, and other fields. The system was speechless. Does the host want to change this fantasy world into a modern world? If my strength allows. Please, don't lead this new world astray. Again? That's right. The falling star continent had been led astray by Go Sheng. A long time ago, there had been a huge change in the way people dressed. All kinds of fancy, avant-garde, and trendy styles had been produced one after another. When friends met, they would call each other old friends. Hall Master Feng. Jun Changshao asked, where is the pill hall? Central Territory. Feng Guichen muttered in his heart, is the patriarch really going to the pill hall to recruit all the alchemy grandmasters? If we go now, how long will it take? Jun Changshao asked. Feng Guichen estimated for a moment and said, if a revolving core realm cultivator were to use a normal flying artifact, it would take at least half a year. Jun Changshao broke down and said, isn't that a little too far? He had originally planned to make a trip there, but he immediately backed out. No. Jun Changshao said, traveling is a big problem. We have to think of a way to solve it. After reaching the revolving core realm, a martial artist would have the ability to fly. But the upper realms was simply far too large. If they wanted to travel far away, they would definitely choose a flying treasure. Flying treasures were also divided into different grades. When a person first came to the upper realm, although the flying sword given by the sword mystic faction was not bad, its grade was too low. It was only suitable for short trips, not long ones. Is it a gift? The system roared, you were the one who stole it. Are there any flying treasures in the shop? Jun Changshao asked. The system immediately turned into a qualified salesman and said, as long as the host refreshes, we have space rockets. Jun Changshao fell into deep thought. Forget it, forget it. After a while, he shook his head and said, although there are many good things in the shop that I want to buy and am reluctant to refresh, I still have to solve the fundamental problem first. Swoosh! He opened the shop. VIP user, in the upper left corner of the panel was gray. This meant that the user had recharged before, but the service was suspended because the user did not renew. Jun Changshao began to refresh. After using up all 5 free times, he did not get the item he wanted. Recharge. The system said, you can refresh 5 more times. Ding! Recharge successful. Congratulations to the host for becoming a monthly VIP user. The monthly refresh rate has increased from 5 to 10. Ding! Sect contribution points, 250000. VIP user, in the upper left corner of the panel suddenly shone brightly, as if it was emitting a strong power of spending money. Swoosh! He refreshed again, and a pleasant surprise came. In the second grid of the second row of the inventory, the name of the item was written Rainbow Dazzling Light Wings Formula. After 5 free refreshes, he did not see anything. After becoming a VIP user, the first refresh appeared. Jun Changshao laughed dryly and said, "This is the real world." Go Sheng could only strongly despise the behavior of not giving out good items without spending money. But he still bought it for 100,000 contribution points. The Rainbow Dazzling Light Wings was an equipment type, so it was automatically matched with the Forging Pavilion. He opened the introduction. Jun Changshao was overjoyed. From the name, it could be seen that this item was similar to the Iron Wings, a flying treasure. But its performance was relatively simple. It only provided flight and did not have defensive or offensive power. However, the advantage was that it was not bound by the heavens and earth. It could fly very fast, and was a good helper for traveling and killing people. The materials did not require any ores. One only needed to prepare a small amount of bird feathers and crystal cores to refine it. Bird feathers, Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and thought, will Xiao Moxians do? The little girl in the Sect of all times, who was originally bored without the little dragon, suddenly shivered. Jun Changshao did not stay in the pill store for too long. On the same day, he left for the Sect of all times. As for opening the medicine store, he gave full authority to Yuan Gongzi. Old Yuan was in charge of the business, and the Rose of Flowers was in charge of the internal affairs of the sect. After the sect ascended to the higher realms, his role as the patriarch was a bit redundant. Yuan Gongzi was also a swift and decisive person. On the same day, he went to the city lord mansion to find Lu Deshui to discuss the store. In fact, in the early years, he had said that the sect had plans to open a medicine store. Because of this, they were exempt from taxes. So when City Lord Lu learned of this, he immediately expressed his support and said, Yuan Gongzi can choose any store in the city. Thank you. Several days later, several stores adjacent to the pill store began to be renovated. Ancient medicine store. Everyone occasionally passed by. When they saw the plaque hanging above, they were puzzled. Didn't they need herbs to operate the pill store? Why would they sell them? The various large families that cooperated with them were depressed after learning of this. If they started selling herbs, what should they do? Everyone, don't worry. Yuan Gongzi found a time to invite the relevant people of the various large families over. He smiled and said, our business will not be interrupted. Jun Changxiao's meaning was that ordinary herbs would be used to refine pills in the pill store. As for the heavenly materials and earthly treasures, they would be sold to accumulate more resources. Little girl. After returning to the sect, Jun Changxiao found Xiao Moxian. Are you thinking of little Long Long again? Humph. The little girl coldly snorted. I don't miss that annoying fellow. I wonder how little Long Long is doing in the Dragon Clan. Has his strength increased? Jun Changxiao asked. Master. Xiao Moxian said, do you need something from me? In truth, it's nothing. I just want to borrow some feathers. Jun Changxiao said. Xiao Moxian transformed into her true form of the Demon Ridge Black Hawk. She gently waved her wings and feathers fell to the ground. Is that enough? It's enough, it's enough. Jun Changxiao received the feathers into his spatial ring. Then, he opened the forging pavilion and discovered that it actually matched. He happily said, the materials needed to refine the rainbow light wings are too simple. Pass the ball. Hurry and pass the ball. On the martial arts field, Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others were playing soccer. At the goal, Sun Muching was shivering. Whoosh! Suddenly, a beam of light flew out from Dragon Head Peak, dragging behind it a rainbow light. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Poochie! Poochie! The light gradually weakened. Jun Changshao floated in the air above the main hall. Behind him, a pair of dazzling wings flapped rhythmically. His entire being emitted a luxurious aura that could only be found in a game. Chapter 14:14. Although the materials used to refine the rainbow dazzling light wings were simple, after wearing it, it was gorgeous and luxurious to the extreme. Moreover, it was filled with the aura of money. If this was paired with the dragon-slaying saber, then when going out to hunt monsters, every strike would be a critical hit and the equipment would explode. Of course. Looking good was just a facade. Having a good effect was a real facade. In order to test his speed, Jun Changshao flapped his wings and flew out of the sect. He circled around the timeless immortal mountains several times. Thus, what appeared in the distance was a beautiful rainbow light that lingered around the entire mountain range. The speed was good. It was much faster than relying on flight. But, as long as he left behind a rainbow light as he flew, wouldn't that provide clues if he was chased down by others? In truth, Jun Changshao wanted to show off during his first test flight. As long as he communicated with the rainbow dazzling light wings, he wouldn't leave behind a rainbow afterimage as he flew. He could even block out the sound of the wings flapping and achieve complete silence. Not bad, not bad. Landing on the martial stage, a satisfied smile appeared on Go Shing's face. The rainbow dazzling light wings' flying speed wasn't too exaggerated, but it was at least much faster than the flying swords of the flying mystic faction. It was very suitable for traveling and could be given to disciples, truly saving energy and protecting the environment. Mass production. Jun Changshao made a decision. He looked for Xiao Maxian and said, "Girl, lend me some more feathers." Xiao Maxian transformed into her true form once more. After shaking out a pile of feathers, she said, "Is this enough?" "Not enough." "Ah." Because of the upgrade of the forging pavilion, refining the rainbow dazzling light wings was extremely fast. In a short period of time, refining 100,000 wasn't a problem at all. But there weren't enough materials. Xiao Maxian had contributed most of her feathers and only managed to refine 50 to 60 of them. Although this didn't affect her human form, she still couldn't just catch one. Jun Changshao also realized this. Thus, he looked for the Purple King and had him call out all the birds in the mountains and gather their feathers one by one. What a pity. The feathers of other birds couldn't be used for refining. Strange. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin. Although Xiao Maxian is stronger than them, it isn't by much. Why is it that she can do it but not the others? It's simple. The system said, none of the main characters' contracted beasts are ordinary. Maybe it has some special bloodline like Little Long Long. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, "Are you mocking me on purpose?" "No." The system said, "I'm just spitting out the thoughts of the readers who are familiar with the plot." Jun Changshao couldn't be bothered with him. "Lass. Give me some more feathers." Xiao Maxian collapsed. "Master, I'm about to turn into a vulture." "Not a big problem." Jun Changshao held up an item in his hand and looked at the screen with a smile. Eternal Brand Hair Growth Agent, passed down through the ages. Not only can it treat hair loss, it can also treat hair loss. If you're interested in collaborating with me, please come to my place for a face-to-face discussion and a long night of sleepless nights. That was right. The magic modified hair growth agent could not only increase hair, but it could also increase feathers. Xiao Maxian, who was no longer able to help her master in battle, once again displayed her value. She continued to grow fur, plucking fur, providing refining materials for him. This was in accordance with Go Shing's words. The sect of all times did not eat for free. Pairs of rainbow-colored dazzling wings were made and distributed to the sect disciples. In a few short days, the eternal immortal mountain was filled with rainbow lights, weaving together into a beautiful scene. The feeling of flying again is so good. After Li Fei, 7 Fields, and the others tried flying, their faces were filled with excitement. They hadn't reached the revolving core realm, so they couldn't fly freely. Now that rainbow light wings appeared, this problem was perfectly solved. Moreover, this type of flying treasure was not weak. Its speed was not inferior to a third or fifth revolution powerhouses. What did this mean? It meant that even if a disciple encountered trouble outside, they would have the opportunity to escape and the other party would be unable to catch up. Patriarch Li Luoqiu received a new batch of rainbow light wings and smiled. With this type of flying treasure, my drizzle hall will be able to gather and pass on information much faster. Yes. The popularization of the rainbow dazzling light wings would bring greater convenience to the sect. Actually, in the upper realm, every sect could not do without flying treasures. For example, the flying sword of the Flying Sword Mystic Sect and the flying dagger of the High Blade Mystic Sect had gradually evolved into the symbol of the sect. Rainbow lights and beautiful special effects. This type of flying treasure that only the rich had would definitely become the symbol of the sect of all times in the future. Disciples, listen up. One day, Jun Changshao hung proudly above the main hall and said, "Follow me to conquer the Sea of Stars." Swoosh! 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 The disciples, led by Li Qingyang and Xiao Zuiji, flew up from the training field, dragging streams of light behind them. Then, they flapped their wings and hovered in midair. The colorful light embellished the surroundings, making them look exceptionally magnificent. At this moment, it gave people the feeling that they were in a large guild formed by rich players in a game, wearing super luxurious equipment and purposely posing for photos. Smack! Smack! Li Tian controlled his wings to fly east and west, taking photos from all angles. No. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "We still lack mounts." There were 3 main criteria for a guild in the game to pose for photos. The number of people, the equipment must be awesome, and the mount must be flashy. Incubate the eggs. Jun Changshao said, "Continue incubating the eggs." In these 2 years, the pill shop had brought in a lot of profit to the sect, and Gosheng was not lacking in money. Ding! Incubation begins. Ding! Giant crab egg incubated successfully, automatically signing a contract with disciple Li Fei. Ding! Crayfish egg incubated successfully, automatically signing a contract with disciple Tian Qi. Ding! Jun Changshao incubated 10 eggs in one go, matching them with Long Xiang, Yang Yuhua, Song Xianzhou, and the others. However, Li Fei and Tian Qi's eggs were more unique. One looked like a crab, and the other looked like a crayfish. Because they were bigger in size, it was easy to arouse one's appetite. Senior brother Lu Wancher took out the Chinese cookbook and said, "If you guys don't like it, I can use one to make braised crab, and the other to make spicy crayfish." Li Fei and Tian Qi were so scared that they quickly picked up their contracted beasts and ran away. Of course, the appearance of the newly incubated beasts was not important. Because they were still in their infancy, they would undergo many evolutions after reaching adulthood, and there would definitely be huge changes. For example, Yixingchen's Panhu beast looked like a husky when it first hatched. After 2 years of training, its strength had increased greatly, but its form was still that of a husky. Cancer region. A cancer race expert said, "Race leader, the eggs we threw away have hatched. What are you waiting for? Let's go to the sect of all times." Yes. The crayfish race and the other 8 races also moved out and headed to the ancient celestial mountain. According to the rules set earlier, as long as the eggs hatched, the disciples who signed the life contract with them would also be brought along to train for 2 years. Therefore, not long after, Li Fei, Tian Qi, and the others stood at the foot of the mountain with tears in their eyes, waving goodbye to the patriarch and their fellow sect members. Sigh. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Parting is always painful." Ding! The sect's medicinal herb store has been opened. Reputation mission completed. 100 reputation points awarded. Ding! Sect reputation points, 200. Go Xing was stunned for a second and said, "It's done." Chapter 14-15. Lin Yuan City. After a few days of renovation, Yuan Gongzi took off the red cloth covering the signboard and announced the official opening of the second business of the sect of all times, the herb store. Although it sold common herbs such as the heavenly emperor grass, it was destined to become a high-end business because its quality was at the level of heavenly treasures. City Lord Liu and his business partners came to report the good news and sent sincere congratulatory gifts. Feng Gui Chen. At this moment, a discordant voice sounded, "You've made me look for you so hard." Hall Master Feng turned to look. In the relatively empty area outside the shop, a man with red hair and a scarf covering half of his face stood proudly. Under the loose black robe was an exquisite token with the words Alchemy Hall engraved on it. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Du Hongchen. Feng Guichen frowned immediately. Lu Deshui and the others were surprised when they heard this. This strange red-haired guy was actually one of the 8 chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall. Schwa. Du Hongchen walked over, first glanced at the herb store, then at the pill store, and shook his head. "I heard that you joined a sect that just ascended to the upper realm. I thought it was just a rumor, but I didn't expect it to be true." Yuan Gongzi also frowned. This guy's tone made it clear that he was here to cause trouble for Hall Master Feng. "Oh, I forgot." Du Hongchen scratched his head and said, "The master of this patriarch of the sect of all times is Jinren Tonggu, and his background is not small." Feng Guichen asked in a deep voice, "Why are you looking for me?" "Ha ha ha." Du Hongchen laughed and said, "Who in the upper realm doesn't know that you and I are like fire and water, so I'm here today too." After a pause, he said with a cold face, "'Cause trouble for you." The two looked at each other, and the atmosphere instantly became tense. Schwa. Schwa. City Lord Liu and the cultivators of the major family subconsciously dodged. The 8 chief alchemists were the face of the Alchemy Hall, and everyone knew that there was a gap between Feng Guichen and Du Hongchen. What was the reason? According to rumors, the two of them simultaneously took Daoist Dan Yuan as their master and cultivated the Tao of pills. They also fell in love with a girl at the same time and pursued her fiercely. In the end, the girl married someone else. It was unknown whether this matter was true or not, but one thing was certain: Feng Guichen and Du Hongchen were indeed Daoist Dan Yuan's disciples, because it could be seen from the word Chen. Yuan Gongzi realized that the problem was a little serious. He hurriedly used his voice transmission technique to inform the nearby members of the Drizzle Hall, asking them to quickly send the news back to the sect. Coming. They arranged for a member to be stationed at a certain distance from each other, and the method of alternating messages between each other reappeared. Patriarch. Not long after, Li Luocho walked into the main hall and reported, "Yuan Gongzi has sent news that one of the 8 head alchemists of the Pill Hall, Du Hongchen, has come to cause trouble for Hall Master Feng on the opening day of the medicine store." Jun Changshao, who was wondering how the prestige mission was completed, was surprised. "I was going to visit them one by one. I didn't expect them to come to me." Swish! A 7-colored stream of light flew out from the sect of all times. At this time, the value of the 7-colored dazzling light wings was revealed, allowing one to travel anywhere at any time. Back in Lin Yuan City, only Feng Guichen and Du Hongchen were left in front of the newly opened medicine store. The two stared at each other, and the murderous aura around them became stronger and stronger. "You too?" Lu Deshui said weakly, "Fighting is forbidden in the small city, scram." Feng Guichen and Du Hongchen shouted, "Farewell." Swish City Lord Liu instantly transformed into a top master, and in the blink of an eye, he was sitting in the city lord's mansion, drinking tea. Same old rules. Du Hongchen said lightly, "Let's have a competition, whoever loses will kneel." The cultivators fighting in the distance twitched their mouths. The 2 head alchemists were both respected figures. Kneeling after losing was absolutely trampling on their dignity. Feng Guichen was about to agree. Hall Master Feng. Yuan Gongzi sent a voice transmission, Patriarch is on his way, find a way to delay him. Feng Guichen hurriedly corrected himself, I've been performing alchemy recently, so I'm physically and mentally exhausted. If you want to compete, wait until I've adjusted my condition. Both of them were disciples of perfected Dan Yuan, so the so-called competition would definitely be decided by alchemy. TCH, Du Hongchen sneered, I've seen the pills you refined. Although the quality is good, the refining method should be normal. If you can still exhaust your body and mind, it seems that not only have you not improved after so many years, you're getting worse and worse. This guy's words were a bit harsh. If it were before, Feng Guichen would definitely not have tolerated it, but since he had received the Patriarch's order, he suppressed his anger and sneered, whether I've improved or not, we'll know after we compete. How many days do you want to recuperate? 3 days. Good. Du Hongchen waved his sleeves and left. 3 days later, you and I will compete in alchemy. Watching him leave, Yuan Gongzi couldn't help but ask, Hall Master Feng, what kind of grudge do you have with this person? Ha! Feng Guichen shook his head and said, it's all in the past, let's not talk about it. 3 days later. With the help of the Rainbow Light Wings, Jun Changshao rushed over early in the morning and learned that the two were going to compete in alchemy, so he asked, do you have a chance of winning? It used to be 50-50. Feng Guichen said proudly, it's easy to beat him now. The two's strength in alchemy had always been neck and neck, and they had fought for hundreds of years without a winner. But it was different now. Hall Master Feng, who cultivated the Great Thousand Shadows art, usually comprehended twice as much, so his understanding of alchemy was definitely not comparable to Du Hongchen. That's good. Jun Changshao was relieved and quickly formulated a plan. Morning. Many cultivators gathered outside the medicinal shop. The two chief alchemists of the alchemy hall were going to compete, so they definitely wouldn't miss it. Ta! Du Hongchen arrived as scheduled. I've long heard of Grandmaster Du's name, and seeing you today, you really live up to your reputation. Jun Changshao, standing in front of the medicinal shop, cupped his hands and smiled. You are the patriarch of the sect of all times. Ha! Du Hongchen said, so you're Zhenren Tonggu's direct disciple. Jun Changshao frowned. The patriarch. Feng Guichen transmitted his voice, this junior brother of mine is a loner, and his words are always unpleasant. Please don't lower yourself to his level. Jun Patriarch. Du Hongchen said, since you can recruit Feng Guichen as your disciple, you should be outstanding in alchemy, right? Not bad, not bad. Why don't you and I have a competition? The expression on Jun Changshao's face was wonderful. Ha ha ha. The system couldn't help laughing. In terms of martial Dao, the host could use cheats if he wasn't strong enough, but he knew nothing about alchemy. Challenging him was the same as directly grabbing his Achilles heel. Du Hongchen. Feng Guichen said coldly, your opponent is me. Du Hongchen shook his head and said, you and I have competed 800 times, if not 1,000 times, it's really nothing new. Why don't you find your patriarch to compare notes? Damn it, Jun Changshao cursed in his heart. He had great attainments in martial Dao, sword Dao, and array Dao, but he hadn't studied other sub-professions. Firstly, he didn't have any aptitude elixirs to consume, and secondly, he was a sect, not an omnipotent protagonist. Ding! Side quest triggered. This quest wouldn't be related to alchemy, right? Jun Changshao opened the quest panel, and after seeing the words defeat Du Hongchen in alchemy, he immediately cursed in his heart, damn it. Chapter 14-16. In terms of alchemy, Jun Changshao also knew a thing or two about alchemy, so refining a qi-gathering pill was not a problem. However, because he relied too much on alchemy from the pill pavilion, he had never studied alchemy at all. Compared with the professional Du Hongchen, there was definitely a huge gap. If he were to compete, he would definitely lose miserably. No, no. I am the sect master, how can I casually make a move? Just as Jun Changshao was about to refuse, the side quest came. From the content, it was obvious that he had to do something beyond his ability. Du Hongchen. Feng Guichen said lightly, you are not qualified to challenge my patriarch. As far as he knew, Jun Changshao not only knew alchemy, but was also very good at alchemy. For example, the first transformation shaping pill he had taken before was simply a miracle pill. However, during this period of time, he had cultivated the Great Thousand Shadows art, and his alchemy had improved, so he hoped to defeat the other party personally. Hall Master Feng. Jun Changshao said, since this chief alchemist wants to challenge this king, I must satisfy him, so as not to be criticized by others. Damn it. The mission was already here, how could he not fight? Alright. Feng Guichen looked at Du Hongchen with a sympathetic look. Being able to refine a shaping pill that could improve all aspects showed that the patriarch had high attainments in alchemy. This guy would definitely lose miserably. Regarding this, Yuan Gongzi agreed. Although the entire sect had never seen the patriarch refine pills, they believed in his strength. After all, many of the pills he had eaten had the ability to steal the fortune of heaven and earth. In fact, after agreeing to the competition, Jun Changshao panicked in his heart. How could he beat him? Even if he crammed the Buddha's feet at the last minute, it would definitely be too late. Got it. First, he pretended to refine pills, and then secretly used the pill pavilion. The system was speechless, you are cheating. The mission didn't say that I can't cheat, as long as I beat him in alchemy, it's fine. Jun Changshao boasted shamelessly. Shwa! At this moment, Du Hongchen took out an alchemy furnace from his space ring and placed it on the street, saying, don't pick a place, let's compete here. Martial arts competitions required a stage, but alchemy competitions were not that troublesome. They only needed an empty space. Jun Patriarch. Du Hongchen said lightly, show me your pill furnace. Yuan Gongzi and Feng Guichen looked forward to it. An alchemy furnace was equivalent to a martial artist's equipment and most valuable treasure. It was absolutely indispensable. Therefore, the two of them were curious about the level of the alchemy furnace that the patriarch had refined. Go Sheng was a little embarrassed. 2 years ago, he had given his disciples quite a few pill furnaces, but he didn't have any at all. It was not a big problem. Since he still had to cheat in the end, he might as well find something else to replace it with. Shwa! Jun Changshao waved his hand, and the magically modified vacuum cleaner appeared out of thin air. With his hands behind his back, he said, this is my pill furnace. Feng Guichen and Du Hongchen were dumbfounded. The two of them had cultivated alchemy for so many years, but they had never seen such a pill furnace. Yuan Gongzi had seen the magically modified vacuum cleaner before and knew its function, so he was surprised in his heart, so this thing also has an alchemy function. No! There was no such function. However, even Anyo could be called an all-rounder, let alone a vacuum cleaner. The shape is so strange. Why does it look like a pot? The stranger the pill furnace, the more precious it is. Jun Changshao took out the magically modified vacuum cleaner. Because of its special shape, it immediately attracted the attention of all the martial artists. Du Hongchen said lightly, Jun Patriarch, how do we compete? Each of us will refine a first revolution pill, and then we will determine the winner based on time, quality, and effect, Jun Changshao said. First revolution. Du Hongchen frowned. This level of pill was nothing to him. He almost couldn't help but say, if you have the ability, let's compete with second revolution pills. Of course. Jun Changshao said, exchanging pointers in alchemy is really boring. Let's add some stakes. It's coming, it's coming. The system said, the trick is really coming. What kind of stakes? This king will kneel in front of everyone if he loses, and you will join my sect if you lose. He had thought of this trick just now. He originally planned to use it against Feng Guichen, but he didn't expect the other party to suddenly challenge him. You are Jinren Tonggu's disciple, I can't bear your kneel. Du Hongchen pointed to Feng Guichen and said, how about this, if you lose, let this guy kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times in front of me in public. Although this guy's words were unpleasant, he knew that Gou Xing had a backer. Hall Master Feng. Jun Changshao asked, what do you think? Feng Guichen said, I will follow Patriarch's arrangement. Good. Jun Changshao said loudly, it's settled then. This king will kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times if he loses, and you will join my sect of all times. Huff huff. A cold wind blew from the street of the herb store, making the atmosphere even more austere. Du Hongchen stood in front of the pill furnace and took out baskets of herbs. He then untied the red scarf wrapped around his arm and tied it to his forehead, his eyes gradually becoming cold. Patriarch. Feng Guichen said solemnly, this guy is getting serious. I can see it. Jun Changshao said so, but in his heart, he thought, it's time to test my acting skills. Shwa! Shwa! With a wave of his hand, various herbs were placed on the table prepared in advance. Although he was cheating with the pill pavilion, he still had to act. Please. Du Hongchen cupped his hands and immediately slapped the table with one hand. Dozens of herbs instantly bounced up and were then enveloped by a thick cloud of true energy. Patriarch. Feng Guichen acted as a commentator and said, this is a quenching method, which can maximize the energy of the herbs. Putting them into the pill furnace will have a better effect. Damn! So professional. How can I fall behind? Paw! Jun Changshao also slapped the table and shook all kinds of herbs. Shwa shwa shwa. His palm turned into a knife and slashed wildly. Complete herbs were cut into pieces and then neatly arranged on the table. Feng Guichen was dumbfounded. Complete herbs contained extremely strong heaven and earth attributes. Wouldn't all the energy be lost if they were cut into pieces? This is a slicing method created by this king based on the culinary Tao. After putting them into the pill furnace, it can fully dissolve the herbs and greatly improve the quality of the pill. Jun Changshao explained. Gou Xing had never practiced alchemy before, but this didn't stop him from bragging. So that's how it is. Feng Guichen suddenly understood. The Patriarch's method of doing the opposite was really admirable. Che! Du Hongchen coldly snorted. If the herbs were cut into pieces, it would be strange if they could improve the quality. Shwa! At this moment, he spread out his hands and placed them on the pill furnace. Suddenly, a hot flame emerged from his body. Earth Spirit Fire! Everyone exclaimed one after another. They all knew that this chief alchemist had a very rare fire seed. Now that they could see it with their own eyes, they were really lucky. Du Hongchen, who was heating the pill furnace, looked at Jun Changshao with a rather proud look, as if to say, kid, are you jealous of my color? Whoosh! At this moment, Gou Xing kicked the vacuum cleaner up and caught it firmly with his right palm. An extremely pure flame instantly burst out. Damn! Feng Guichen once again exposed his ignorance and exclaimed, Fire Soul Spirit. Du Hongchen's eyes widened. Although his earth spirit fire was rare in the upper realm, a fire soul spirit born in the universe was extremely rare. Oh my god! Jun Patriarch's flame is even stronger. Nonsense, this is a spirit that can only be born in the universe. It's rare even in the upper realm. Chapter 14-17. Du Hongchen could show off his skills and pills crazily in front of Jun Changshao, but he could not show off his flames, because, this guy had a son born in the universe, called the Spirit of Fire Soul. It was undeniable that this spirit was born in the mortal universe, but because of its uniqueness and huge growth potential, even in the upper realm system, it was still the fire attribute that everyone dreamed of. No wonder Patriarch could refine the shaping pill, he has such a powerful spirit of fire. Feng Guichen was shocked. Flames played a crucial role in smelting herbs, so the higher the level, the more powerful the pill could be refined. So fragrant. Imagine. There were two laws of the sect of all times. Jun Changshao showed off the spirit of fire soul that could only be born in the universe, and immediately set off a small climax of showing off. Du Hongchen, who had been proud of himself, couldn't even smile anymore. You have a pill furnace, I have a vacuum cleaner. You have a quenching method, I have a slicing method. You have the fire of earth spirit, I have the spirit of fire soul. Come on. Let's hurt each other. Damn it. Du Hongchen suddenly waved his hands, and all the quenched herbs instantly flew into the pill furnace. Just from the way he threw the herbs into the furnace, it could be seen that he was definitely a battle-hardened alchemy master. Paw! Jun Changshao was not willing to fall behind. He first put the vacuum cleaner on the medicine table, picked up the flat suction nozzle, and instantly sucked in the cut herbs, then continued to heat them with the flames. Smooth as flowing water, all done in one go. Creating a character in a hypothetical situation was known as a non-material performance in performance art. At this moment, Jun Changshao had obviously entered this state. Not only was he immersed in his performance, but he also seemed to have transformed into an alchemy master, standing in the center of attention of thousands of people, listening to the people shouting, "Go salt smuggler!" Whoosh! Whoosh! Scorching flames rose up, sometimes scorching hot and sometimes restrained. Awesome! Master! Everyone exclaimed. If they knew that the herbs in the vacuum cleaner were all black mud, and that Jun Changshao was just playing around, they would definitely vomit blood on the spot. It was true that the alchemy was fake, but Jun Changshao's actions, logic, and other aspects were all on point. It was impossible to find any flaws. Even Du Hongchen had been fooled, believing that his strength was not simple. An actor. He had to act like what he was acting. Even if it was an insignificant action, even if it was just a casual glance, it would all be a show. Winking and glaring in front of the camera, and even lip-syncing with numbers, at best, she was just a celebrity. Jun Changshao is very handsome, who doesn't know that? But please don't label him as a little fresh meat just because of his looks, because he also has acting skills that don't lose out to the best actor. Schwa! After a while, Jun Changshao, who had completely immersed himself in his role, put away his flames and placed the smoking vacuum cleaner on the medicine table. He quickly turned it around and opened the vacuum cleaner in a practiced manner. When 10 hot medicinal pills appeared, he wrapped his fist in his palm and said, "Sorry for embarrassing myself." Du Hongchen was dumbfounded. I had just put in the herbs and hadn't started to decompose them, but he had already finished refining. And it was a full batch. That speed was too terrifying. Feng Guichen was shocked. I'm not even 1/10 as good as Patriarch. From the beginning of the performance to the completion of the pills, it had only been 2 or 3 minutes, so all the cultivators were stunned. Although they didn't understand alchemy, they had heard that the process of refining pills was extremely boring and cumbersome. It might even take a few days or even dozens of days to refine. Impossible. Du Hongchen said, "It's impossible to refine so fast. If it was an ordinary type of pill, it might be refined in a very short time. But this time, the rule was to refine a first revolution pill. Even immortal Danyuan couldn't do it." Jun Changshao poured 10 first revolution shaping pills into the tray and said with a smile, "Facts speak louder than words." Du Hongchen was silent. At first, he thought whether the other party would throw in 10 pills when he wasn't paying attention, but now he dispelled that idea. Because the 10 pills were shining and shining, they all represented that they had just been refined. Yes. The pills had indeed just been refined. In this regard, Jun Changshao would never cheat. It was just that they were sent to the vacuum after being refined by the pill pavilion. Humph! Du Hongchen calmed his mind and said coldly, "Refining pills is not about speed, but about quality." Huff huff. The flame intensified and he continued to refine pills. Jun Changshao folded his arms and quietly watched his performance, thinking to himself, "Comparing quality with the pills refined by my pill pavilion, I'm afraid you've lost your mind." Du Hongchen's strength in alchemy was very good. It only took him half an hour to refine a first revolution pill. Feng Guichen was not surprised. After all, they had competed so many times and everyone was clear about their strength. Such a talent must be recruited. Jun Changshao secretly rejoiced. Come. Du Hongchen said, begin to verify the quality of the pills. Saying so, he walked to Jun Changshao's table uninvited, picked up a pill, and began to verify it himself. Perfect. Then he picked up the second pill. Perfect. Perfect. When he pinched the 10th pill and confirmed that the quality was still perfect, Du Hongchen suddenly deflated like a balloon. Paw! Putting down the pill, he turned his head and said, "You win, I lose." In fact, both of them refined 10 perfect quality pills, but because of the huge difference in time, it was easy to determine the winner. Ha! This guy is quite honest. Nonsense. The system said, he is the chief alchemist of the alchemy hall. What he cares about is reputation and honor. How can he be as shameless as the host? Jun Changshao smiled. According to the previous agreement, if you lose, you will join the sect of all times. Don't worry. Du Hongchen said lightly, this Du always accepts defeat. I will never go back on my words. Schwa. Jun Changshao skillfully took out the entry form and said, in that case, let's go through the entry procedure. Wait a minute. Du Hongchen pointed at Feng Guichen and said lightly, I want to compete with this guy. If I win, the previous bet will be void. What do you think, Jun Patriarch? Fuck. The system cursed. Just now I was praising you for having the style of a master, but now you are playing tricks on me. Okay. Jun Changshao agreed readily. Gou Sheng's personality was to not use people he doubted. Since Hall Master Feng joined the sect of all times and became the Hall Master and said that he could defeat Du Hongchen, he definitely trusted him and was willing to let him lose even more miserably. Sure enough. Feng Guichen did not disappoint Jun Changshao. After a 3-chapter pill competition, he finally won by refining a furnace full of perfect quality pills in an even shorter time. Du Hongchen, who lost 2 rounds in a row, stood on the medicine table in a daze. He and Feng Guichen came from the same sect and had always been evenly matched in alchemy. Why did the other party's alchemy skills improve by leaps and bounds in just a few years? Master. Jun Changshao handed over the entry form and said with a smile, if you want to know how you lost, join the sect of all times and you will understand. Du Hongchen raised his head with difficulty and said, let me say this first, I am only temporarily joining the sect of all times. When I beat you in alchemy in the future, you must restore my freedom. No problem. Jun Changshao said seriously, as long as you join the sect, you can accept challenges at any time. Du Hongchen began to fill out the entry form and thought to himself, revenge is a dish best served cold. I will win back the 2 rounds I lost today. Paw! The sect seal was stamped on it. At this point, Du Hongchen, one of the 8 chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall, became a member of the sect of all times. 6 more. Chapter 14-18. Du Hongchen, who was willing to accept his loss, had joined the sect of all times, which had undoubtedly greatly improved their overall strength in alchemy. After all, the former was not inferior to Feng Guichen in alchemy. Jun Changshao was not satisfied with the current situation. He hoped to win over the other 6 chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall, and then with the 8 of them as the core, he would build an ancient alchemy hall. For this, he needed to take action. Alchemy Hall Headquarters Main Hall. The long-robed old man sitting at the head said, my left eyelid is twitching more and more. Report. At this moment, a subordinate hurriedly walked in and said, there is news from Lin Yuan City. Chief alchemist Du Hongchen has joined the sect of all times. What? The long-robed old man was surprised. He already knew that Feng Guichen had joined the sect of all times, and now another chief alchemist had joined. Moreover, they had irreconcilable conflicts. This was unbelievable. Strange. One of the higher-ups was puzzled. What is so special about the sect of all times that Feng Gui-chen and Du Hongchen are willing to join? They all knew that Jun Changxiao's honored master was Zhenren Tonggu, but martial arts and alchemy were two different things. What's more, the sect had just ascended. Even if they were outstanding in alchemy, it was impossible for them to be better than two chief alchemists, right? According to the news, Master Du and the patriarch of the sect of all times sparred in alchemy and were completely defeated, the subordinates said. Completely defeated? The long-robed old man and the other higher-ups were surprised. From the literal meaning of complete defeat, it meant that he had lost completely. Tsk tisk. Someone said, could it be that Senior Tonggu's disciple also has extremely high attainments in alchemy? That's not right. One of the higher-ups wondered, I've never heard of Senior Tonggu being involved in alchemy. How did he cultivate such a disciple? Report. At this moment, another subordinate came in and said, Hall Master Feng sent a message. Soon, the patriarch of the sect of all times will personally visit the alchemy hall. As soon as he said this, the long-robed old man's left eyelid twitched even more, so he hurriedly asked the higher-ups. Hall Master. An old man said with a smile, if I'm not wrong, the patriarch of the sect of all times' visit might bring fortune to the alchemy hall. That's what I think too. His left eye twitched for fortune, and his right eye twitched for disaster. When Jun Changxiao was mentioned, the hall master's left eye twitched violently. Alchemy, and alchemy hall's alchemy, especially to the sect of alchemy, to the sect to the sects, to the sect. I hope so, the long-robed old man said. The sect of the all times. Jun Changxiao appointed Du Hongchen as the hall master of the pill hall. Wait? Feng Fangs? To the sect the two of them had conflicts, so Du Hongchen would definitely not be happy to be the vice hall master. Therefore, Jun Changxiao decided to let both of them be hall masters and have equal authority. Although the hall leader was a position, the readers knew in their hearts that once they entered the eternal sect, especially in the aspect of alchemy, they were destined to be a coolie. That's not right. Du Hongchen, who had just taken up the position, received a mission to open a pill store in another city. He would be responsible for the pill store's production and supply. He had already arranged the manpower. Damn it! Are they using me as a tool? Hall Master Du, at this moment, Li Qingyang came to see him. The patriarch wants you to go to the Great Hall. Du Hongchen was unhappy, but he still went. Jun Changxiao had been waiting for a long time. Seeing his sword, he threw a pill over. This is the sect's exclusive pill-shaping pill. Du Hongchen immediately realized from the shape that this was made during the alchemy competition. Patriarch. He put it on the table. Can I not eat it? Are you afraid it's poisonous? Jun Changxiao said, anyone who enters the sect will be given this pill to strengthen the body, meridians, soul, and other aspects. It's up to you to eat it or throw it away. Strengthen the body, meridians, and soul. So magical. Du Hongchen muttered in his heart. Shua. Jun Changxiao threw another secret book. This is the sect's exclusive martial art. It can help improve your alchemy Dao. You can use it to cultivate when you have nothing to do. Thousand Shadows Art. Du Hongchen read and thought, doesn't the patriarch know that I mainly cultivate alchemy Dao and rarely cultivate martial Dao? Prepare. Jun Changxiao said, we'll leave for Haoyu City in half a month. Haoyu City was a city he valued. Its overall strength was greater than Lin Yuan City, and because of its geographical location, it was a transportation and trade hub. Understood. Du Hongchen got up and left. Because he lost the bet, he could only be forced to enter the sect. In fact, his current mentality was, you can get me, but you can never get my heart. Can it really improve alchemy Dao? After returning to his residence, Du Hongchen was really bored, so he flipped through the Thousand Shadows art. When he saw the introduction, he blurted out, damn, a divine skill. A few days later. He successfully condensed the shadows. After experiencing the initial benefits, he suddenly realized, no wonder that Guy's alchemy Dao improved so quickly. Swish! Du Hongchen hurriedly took out the shaping pill and thought, this thing may be really magical. Gulp! After swallowing it, he felt that his meridians, blood, and even soul had improved. He couldn't help but say, one kind of elixir can combine the effects of many kinds of elixirs. It's amazing. At this moment, Du Hongchen's mentality had a huge change. He had completely changed. You can get my body and my heart. Even when he saw Jun Changshao, he had to respectfully call him patriarch. Dai Lu expressed. This person really has no backbone at all. Speaking of the unyielding brother Green Scarf, he was also quite bored recently. Because there were no prisoners in the prison, he had nothing to do all day and mainly focused on cultivation. Arya and Zhao Daodu also wandered around the prison all day, like two salted fish who had lost their souls. Don't worry. Jun Changshao comforted, there will be prisoners soon. Why did he say that? Because the Drizzle Hall had just sent a message. 2 years ago, the Lingwei True Sect had contacted the patriarch of the Fuqian Sect. Damn it! Jun Changshao slammed the table and said angrily, I knew there was something fishy about this. Although the trouble caused by the Lingwei True Sect ended with compensation, Go Sheng would definitely investigate the cause and effect. He would investigate why the other party was so coincidentally in the area of the magnetite vein. As expected, he really found a loophole. Li Luoqiu said, this patriarch Pei is probably unhappy that the patriarch obtained the magnetite vein. He deliberately told the location of the vein to the Lingwei True Sect so that they could kill him with a borrowed knife. Pei silly, Pei silly. Jun Changshao stood up and shook his head. His eyes gradually became gloomy and cold as he said, this king is kind enough to let you off this time, but you still dare to play tricks on me. Don't blame the sect for becoming a money-losing sect. Patriarch. Li Luoqiu said, it's pronounced Fu. Jun Changshao slammed the table and said, then let him become the patriarch of paying money. Chapter 1419. Whoosh! Whoosh! The scorching flames engulfed the entire Fuqian sect like an ancient beast. The corpses of the disciples were strewn all over the place. The blood that had gathered into a river was evaporating bit by bit. The scene was like hell on earth. Thud! Thud! Black figures with blurry appearances stopped in front of the main hall. Their eyes were flashing red, emitting a bone-chilling murderous intent. They were wearing the same uniform with the word ancient printed on their chests. Plop! Pei Si, who was standing in front of the main hall, could no longer hold on. He collapsed to the ground like mud. His eyes were filled with despair and fear. Patriarch Pei. A sinister voice came from behind the black figures. It's time for you to die. Swoosh! A sword beam shot over. A strong aura of death surged in his heart. No! Pei Si sat up from the bed and saw the moon hanging high in the sky. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and panted. I had a nightmare again. That's right. Just now, it was just a dream of his sect being destroyed. But because it was too real, he couldn't eat or sleep in peace. Sigh. Pei Si Li said bitterly, I regret it so much. I regret it so much. He had been living in fear for the past 2 years. There was no other reason. The person who had tricked him had a master who was Jinren Tonggu. Who was he? This was a top power that even the Jie Hall was afraid of. If he could go back in time and return to the time of the sect meeting on Lingfeng Mountain, he definitely wouldn't have tricked Jun Changshao. He wouldn't even have participated in the event. Unfortunately, things couldn't be reversed. Actually, 2 years ago, the Lingwei True Sect had vented their anger on the Fuqian Sect. Pei Si had paid a huge price to barely save the sect. However, this was just a small problem. The real problem was the sect of all times. At first, he considered whether to go to their sect and apologize. However, he didn't have the courage. Furthermore, they hadn't come after so long. Perhaps they didn't know that he was the one who had told them the location of the mine. Pei Si didn't take any action. He believed that time would wash away everything. Sigh. The path to heaven became narrower and narrower. It even led to hell. Pei Si broke out in a cold sweat because of the nightmare. He stood up and went to the table to pour some water. Thank you. You're welcome. Caw. The atmosphere in the room and Pei Si Li's expression suddenly froze. With the help of the moonlight, he saw an extraordinary young man sitting on the chair, holding a teacup that he had just filled. That was right. It was Jun Changshao. Ha ha ha. Pei Si Li suddenly laughed and said, "The sect protecting formation has always been activated. How could he be sitting here? Dream. It must be a dream. Hoo. At this moment, flames flickered outside the window. Pei Si Li laughed again. This kind of situation was similar to repeated dreams. This meant that he was actually still in a deep sleep, or even had a dream within a dream. Pa! Jun Changshao slapped his face and asked, "Does it hurt?" "It hurts." Pei Si Li grimaced. His mind, which was originally in a daze, suddenly became very clear. He howled in his heart, "It's not a dream." Swoosh! Jun Changshao grabbed his collar and dragged him out of the room. He said, "I gave you a chance at Spirit Peak Mountain, but you didn't know how to cherish it. From today onwards, the Fuqian sect will be removed from the pugilistic world. All resources will belong to the sect of all times. It's over, it's over." The nightmare had finally come true. Pei Si Li was dragged to the martial arts arena like a dead dog. At this moment, tens of thousands of sect disciples were kneeling on the ground, holding their heads as they watched the main hall being engulfed in flames. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. Li Qingyang and the others were fully armed and stood in the surroundings like emotionless killers. The Fuqian sect's overall strength was not bad, but in front of a group of cheaters, they were surrounded in a daze while sleeping. They were not even given a chance to resist. Plop! Pei Si Li was thrown to the ground. Jun Changshao sat on the chair that Xiao Ziji had prepared in advance. He glanced at the Fuqian sect disciples and said indifferently, "As the saying goes, every wrong has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. I will only deal with the patriarch. You can go down the mountain and find another way." This sect had to be destroyed, but the innocent would not be harmed. Actually, in the lower world, Jun Changshao had destroyed sects before, but he had always adhered to the principle of not harming the innocent. For example, the first sect he destroyed, the Spirit Spring sect, had only been dismissed in the end. Otherwise, Dai Lu would have been dead long ago. Even when he went to the extreme cold palace, he only blew up the mountain gate and did not cause any deaths. Of course. Except for the evil sects that did all kinds of evil. Pei Si Li had tricked him at Spirit Peak Mountain. Jun Changshao's anger dissipated after beating him up, so he did not take it to heart. However, he could not tolerate the fact that Pei Si Li had used someone else to do his dirty work. Therefore, whether it was compensation or payment, the Fuqian sect had to disappear. It was normal to have conflicts with other sects when developing. For example, he had offended the Sword Mystic sect and the High Blade Mystic sect. Gosheng generously welcomed them to seek revenge at any time. However, if they hid in the dark and played dirty tricks, sorry, but he had to kill them. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Endless flames enveloped the entire Fuqian sect, and the buildings were gradually engulfed. The scene in Pei Si Li's dream was already very scary, but it was still very different from what had happened in reality. He did not have the chance to carefully compare the difference between the dream and reality, because he had been sent to the Tianyuan prison pagoda and was being watched by Arya, Zhao Daodu, and Dai Lu. Jun Changshao did not intend to kill him, but he would definitely be in jail. Let's get to work. Swoosh! 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 Whips, candles, ropes, and other tools appeared out of thin air. A few days later, news of the destruction of the Fuqian sect spread in some areas of the upper world, causing an uproar. This sect was not very powerful, but it still had some history. It was a little unbelievable that it had been destroyed so suddenly. Who did it? A few allies of the Fuqian sect have already started investigating. This is a sect that has been in the upper world for many years. Unless they have a deep grudge with others, they can't be destroyed so easily. It was difficult to establish a sect in the upper world, but it was also difficult to be destroyed. This was because the surviving sects had connections, and other forces would be more or less afraid when they took action. Bam! In the main hall of the Linging sect, a big shot slammed the table and said angrily, "We must find out who the murderer is and seek justice for the Fuqian sect." Many big shots from various sects were sitting around. They had a good relationship with Pei Sili, and when they heard that the Fuqian sect had been destroyed, they would be filled with righteous indignation. Could it be the Lingwei True sect? Someone asked. As soon as this was said, the big shots calmed down and put on a look that said, "I'm just here to drink tea." These sects were just huddling together for warmth. They could only pretend to be subservient to the Lingwei True sect, let alone the Lingwei True sect. Impossible. A big shot said, "If the Lingwei True sect did it, they would have announced it to the public long ago." That's right. Someone said, "The Lingwei True sect is a prestigious Lingwei True sect after all. How could they lose their status and destroy a lowly Fuqian sect?" Then who could it be? Everyone began to guess. However, they still could not figure out who Pei Sili had offended. Report. At this moment, a disciple walked in and said, "The sect of all times announced to the public that they have an irreconcilable grudge with the Fuqian sect, so they destroyed it along the way." The sect of all times? The big shots of the various sects widened their eyes. They had heard of this name before, and they also knew that the patriarch, Jun Changshao, was Jinren Tonggu's disciple. Oh! I just remembered that I still have important matters to deal with in the sect. I'll take my leave first. My sect will be holding a sect competition in 2 days. I have to personally organize it. Goodbye. There's been a problem with my cultivation recently. I'll go back and recuperate for a while. Chapter 1420. After learning that the culprit was the sect of all times, the elders of the various sects who were seeking justice for the Fuqian sect immediately got up and left. The entire hall instantly became empty. They could not afford to offend the Lingwei True sect. They could not afford to offend the disciples of Jinren Tonggu. Because of their powerful background, the situation that should have happened after the young ones were defeated was stopped in a timely manner. However, someone was unhappy. That was the Jie Hall that managed the world. He destroyed the Fuqian sect casually and publicly announced it to the world. He's simply too arrogant and despotic. He doesn't take us seriously at all. Although the upper realm was crueler than the lower realm, the system was more complete. The Jie Hall would definitely not be indifferent to the destruction of a sect. Damn it! In the hall, a dignified old man said angrily, "Does Jun Changshao think that he can do whatever he wants in the upper realm just because he has Jinren Tonggu's support? He's only been here for 2 years and he's already destroyed a sect. If he's allowed to do as he pleases, the world will be in chaos." Someone said angrily. "No. We must seek an explanation from Jinren Tonggu." Naturally, they would not sympathize with a small Fuqian sect. However, they were still law enforcers on the surface. "Your disciple has destroyed a sect and announced it publicly. Are you telling the world that we can't do anything to him?" Needless to say, Jun Changshao did have this intention. Before coming to the upper realm, he was already unhappy with the Jie Hall. Now that he had a powerful background, he would definitely not give them any face. Moreover, the Fuqian sect has tricked me twice, especially using others to kill me. If Master had not arrived in time, wouldn't the sect of all times have been wiped out by the Lingwei True sect? When that time comes, will you law enforcers seek justice for me? The answer was definitely no, because it was normal for a truth-level sect to destroy an unrelated and unrated sect. In fact, if there was a grudge between sects that involved the destruction of a sect, as long as it was not too serious, the Jie Hall would usually not intervene. This time, it was mainly Jun Changshao who announced it to the public. It was full of provocation. If he did not make a statement, what would the major sects think? What would the whole world think? Find him. We must find him. After a unanimous discussion in the Jie Hall, they decided to look for Jinren Tonggu. Your disciple has given us a difficult problem. If we don't put up a front, how are we going to manage the upper realm in the future? Everyone. The dignified old man asked, which one of you is going to the extreme cavern? As soon as he said this, everyone fell silent. There were some words that could be said to satisfy one's mouth, but when it came to action, one would definitely be terrified. Moreover, 2 years ago, Daoist Tonggu had forcefully shielded him in front of all the major clans in the Eternal Sect. I'll go. A voice came from outside the main hall. Everyone looked over and saw Empress Ling Yao standing in front of the door, shrouded in clouds and mist. All right. No problem. The Jie Hall agreed unanimously. Even though they disliked this woman, they had to admit that she was very capable, otherwise, she would not have ascended to rank 9 cultivation level and connections in just a few thousand years. On the same day, the Jie Hall announced to the public that they would investigate the destruction of the Fuqian sect. This could be considered as telling the world that they did not sit idly by and do not fear Jun Changxiao's master, Jinren Tonggu. Courageous. Let's wait for the results. Sect of all times. Jun Changxiao sat in the main hall gloomily, because he only obtained tens of millions of magnetite after destroying a sect. There was no helping it, Pei Sili had sold everything he had to appease Spirit Fine True Sect's anger, so he did not have much savings in the past 2 years. However, Fuqian Sect's cultivation methods and martial arts were all plundered, even though their levels were not as high as the system's reward, they could be used to exchange for profound martial arts from the cultivation method pavilion. Right. Jun Changshao slapped his forehead, saying, there is still a sect function that I did not use, I can use it to upgrade the cultivation method pavilion. Spirit Essence Pavilion, skipped me again. There was no choice. Your function was to inject attributes into equipment. The sect disciples did not have new weapons and equipment, even if they were upgraded, their value would not be reflected. But the cultivation method pavilion was different. If the martial arts inside were strengthened by the upgrade, it would greatly increase everyone's cultivation speed. Ding! The cultivation method pavilion has been upgraded to the strengthened version. After the upgrade, Jun Changshao hurriedly clicked on the new function, and a look of joy appeared on his face. After the upgrade, the cultivation method pavilion did not change much, and the martial arts listed were the same as before, but with the word strengthened in front, it seemed to mean that the martial arts were still the same, but they had been upgraded along with the function. That's great! Jun Changshao grinned. Under the new version, the martial arts were not changed, but upgraded from the original foundation. This meant that the 5 elements heaven appraisal art, universe 9 seals palms, and other martial arts that he had bought could still be used, and he did not need to gather martial arts to exchange for new ones. Let's give it a try. Jun Changshao sat down cross-legged and circulated the 5 elements heaven appraisal art. Immediately, he saw extremely rich 5 elements surging from all directions, and the amount was actually dozens of times stronger than before. Fuck, Anyo. The upgrade of the Spirit Beast Pavilion was already very terrifying, but the upgrade of the Cultivation Method Pavilion was, directly cheating on the spot. Why? Because after the martial arts that he had bought and cultivated in advance were upgraded, Jun Changshao did not even have to recomprehend them before evolving. What was the difference between this and directly opening a lock and directly passing through a wall? Creak. Yi Xingchen, who had cultivated in the forging room for a day, dragged his tired body back to his residence and closed the door. As usual, he sat cross-legged on his bed and circulated the 5 elements heaven appraisal art. Although he had a stronger Illumination Heart Sutra, he would not forget to cultivate the old mental cultivation method. After all, it could cultivate the power of the 5 elements. Huff! After circulating the 5 elements heaven appraisal art, Yixingchen's expression suddenly froze. After completely confirming that the attributes in the room were dozens of times stronger than before, he exclaimed, "What's going on?" After Jun Changshao upgraded the cultivation method pavilion, the majestic 5 elements gathered above the sect of all times. They swarmed down and fought to be the first to merge into the bodies of the disciples, forming a rather spectacular scene. The next day, all the disciples gathered at the training field. That's right. Jun Changshao stood in front of the main hall and bowed to the plaque with the words "Unyielding Iron Bones." He said solemnly, "The ancestors of the sect have shown themselves, allowing us to understand the mental cultivation method to a higher level." I see. All the disciples were enlightened. No wonder they suddenly had a deeper understanding of the 5 elements heaven appraisal art and other martial arts techniques yesterday. It turned out that the ancestors of the sect had helped them in the dark. "Thank you, ancestors." The disciples gathered at the training field shouted in unison. Woody naturally did not believe that the ancestors of the sect had shown themselves and allowed him to have a higher understanding of martial arts out of thin air. Instead, he thought to himself, could it be that Senior Qishuan thinks that the sect is very weak in the upper realm, so he used a great magical power to forcefully increase our comprehension? Amazing, amazing. As expected of a super mighty figure who has entered the sacred venerable stage. As the leader of the imagination trio, Woody would always blame Senior Qishuan whenever he encountered something that went against the martial Tao. Otherwise, there was really no other way to explain it. Patriarch. At that moment, a disciple came to report. The Patriarch of the Lingwei True Sect is here to see you. Oh? Jun Changshao was rather surprised. Why is he here? Inside the main hall. Mei Xian sat down with a smile. Then, he placed a few spatial rings on the table and said, Jun Patriarch was not here earlier, so it was difficult for me to express my sincerity. Therefore, I have specially brought some gifts today. I hope that all the grudges between us will be resolved. Jun Changshao's extermination of the Fuqian sect had made the Jie Hall very unhappy, but it also made him tremble in fear. This was because the reason behind it was definitely related to the mine. The upper realm did not know why the sect of all times had suddenly exterminated the Fuqian sect. Only Patriarch Mei knew. Therefore, after learning about this matter, he immediately became restless. After thinking about it, he decided to pay more money to completely resolve the conflict. Sensible people. Particular people. This, Jun Changshao was very embarrassed as he cupped his hands and said, then, Jun will reluctantly accept it. Come, prepare the food and wine. Since he had taken the other party's money, he definitely had to arrange a feast. After the dishes were served, Gosheng stood up and raised his wine cup. He smiled and said, Patriarch Mei, I wish that the friendship between our two sects will last forever. Forever and ever, forever and ever. Extreme Grade Cave Abode. Jinren Tonggu was sitting cross-legged under an ancient pine tree, his brows furrowed. If it were not for the fact that the girl was present, he would definitely have cursed it out loud. You bastard, you're causing trouble for me again. Senior Tonggu. Empress Lingyao said respectfully. To be honest, I come from the same mortal realm as your disciple. Oh? Jinren Tonggu smiled with interest. So, you're here today as a representative of the Jie Hall, not to seek an explanation from me, but to establish a relationship with me? That's right. Empress Lingyao said. Ha ha ha. Jinren Tonggu laughed. It's rare to meet such an honest junior. Actually, not to mention that I'm from the same hometown as Jun Changshao, just the fact that I'm Qing Wei's disciple is enough to call you uncle, Empress Lingyao said. Jinren Tonggu was shocked. You're that crazy woman's disciple? Chapter 1421. Enlightened being Qing Wei's name might not be as famous as Jinren Tonggu and Gu Hongjinren in the upper realm, but she was still one of the top powerhouses. Empress Lingyao was her disciple. In terms of background, she might not be inferior to Jun Changshao. That's not right. Jinren Tonggu said, that woman was once labeled as a traitor. As her disciple, why would you help the Realm Hall? He had interacted with enlightened being Qing Wei before, but it was not like what a certain reader had said, that there was a romantic story between them. They were simply outstanding geniuses of the same era. To put it simply, they debuted at about the same time. Top powerhouses like Masato Kitano and Gu Hongjinren were also from the same generation. That was because they made a name for themselves in the upper realm at about the same time. For example, Jun Changshao. He was very young now and had his own time. As he grew older and his cultivation base changed, he would definitely be addressed as a senior by many of his peers. However, speaking of which, it was a bit too difficult to be in the same generation as Gosheng. That was because in the lower realms, he had already ascended to the higher realms and entered the revolving core realm, while his peers were still lingering between the martial king and martial emperor realms. Because of the relationship between Jinren Tonggu and enlightened being Qing Wei, Jun Changshao and Empress Lingyao were considered to be in the same generation. Combined with the latter's relationship with the Night Emperor, the final conclusion was that Anyo was a generation younger. It was not a big problem. Yi Xingchen was Jun Changshao's disciple, so it was normal for him to be a generation younger. No. What did Anyo's generation difference have to do with the main topic? Was Gosheng's daily persecution not enough? Did the author have to add another stab in the side story? Back to the main topic. Enlightened being Qing Wei was a woman, but she was ruthless when it came to doing things. Back then, when she revealed her outstanding talent in the higher realms, because she was molested by a lecher, she directly massacred her family, and even wiped out 2 sects that supported her family, immediately causing a huge commotion. The Jie Hall would not remain indifferent, so they sent experts to capture her. Both sides fought fiercely in the Faida Valley for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, Daoist Qing Wei killed several reincarnation core realm experts and calmly left. This matter quickly fermented and spread like wildfire. It could be said that at that time, the authority of the Boundary Hall was seriously impacted. Because of this, Master Daoist Qing Wei was directly classified as a traitor and was wanted all over the continent for the next several thousand years. Jinren Tonggu and Masato Kitano were witnesses to this period of history. Jinren Qing Wei was extremely talented. Although she was being hunted down endlessly by the Jie Hall, she continued to make breakthroughs and improve. It was only when she stepped into the Seeking Truth realm that various big shots came forward to mediate and resolve the long-standing grievances. Not to mention who was in the right and who was in the wrong about the annihilation of her family and sect. Just from this alone, one could see the truest portrayal of martial arts being respected. That was, the weak would be bullied, and the strong would be valued. Fortunately, Jun Changshao had a powerful master when he first came to the higher realms. Otherwise, if he publicly announced that he was the one who annihilated a sect, it would definitely cause the Jie Hall to be greatly displeased, and the problem would worsen. It would not be strange if he was labeled as a traitor in the end. Senior. Empress Lingyao explained, Master does not restrict me from doing anything, even if I become a member of the Jie Hall. Jinren Tonggu narrowed his eyes and said, Child, your master is very narrow-minded. How could she agree to let you work for the Jie Hall? Empress Lingyao said, Senior, you misunderstand. The Jie Hall and I do not have a superior-subordinate relationship, and I only hold an insignificant position in the internal department. The Jie Hall is also narrow-minded. Since they dare to use you, they probably don't know that you are Master Daoist Qing Wei's disciple, right? Jinren Tonggu's eyes gradually sharpened, as if he had seen through everything. I don't know. Empress Lingyao said truthfully. TSK. Jinren Tonggu said, although your master and the Jie Hall have resolved their feud, they do not see eye to eye with each other. Yet you hold a position there. There must be another reason. When Master first entered the Jianghu, she was maliciously molested by others, and in a fit of anger, she annihilated the entire family. This was a matter of course, but she was labeled as a traitor by the Jie Hall. She could swallow this grievance, but as her disciple, I could not, Empress Lingyao said. It's a bit messy, a bit messy. Jinren Tonggu scratched his head and said, let me think about it. Senior, you have great cultivation, so you must have great wisdom as well. I will not beat around the bush. The reason I joined the Jie Hall is to overthrow it and seek justice for Master, Empress Lingyao said, her tone flat. Jinren Tonggu had already guessed it, but he was feigning ignorance. Seeing her admit it so frankly, he asked curiously, so, what is your real purpose in looking for me? The world only knows that the Jie Hall is in charge of the entire upper world, but they do not know that it is secretly controlled by the 10 major immortal level sects. I hope to gain your support, Empress Lingyao said. Child. Jinren Tonggu said, do you think that a lone cultivator like me can go against the 10 major immortal level sects? One person can't, but a group can. Ha ha ha. Jinren Tonggu laughed and said, I have lived for so long, but I have never seen such a daring child. You. He paused and said, aren't you afraid that I will tell the Jie Hall? No. Why? Because your disciple, Jun Changshao, is on the same side as me. When he is fully grown, he will definitely fall out with the Jie Hall. When that time comes, you will not only have to face the various clans, but also the 10 major immortal level sects that control life and death in the upper world. The corner of Jinren Tonggu's mouth twitched. He was not afraid of the Jie Hall on the surface. After all, their overall strength was weak. But the 10 major immortal level sects, unless his realm was higher, he would not be able to handle even one of them. If that bastard offended them, the problem would be worse than offending the various clans. Jinren Tonggu did not know how powerful an immortal level sect was, but he knew that a lone cultivator would never be able to defeat a group. Senior. Empress Lingyao said, your disciple destroyed the Fuqian sect because of the mine. I have investigated thoroughly, and the Jie Hall will not be able to find anything wrong with it, so you can rest assured. If this girl had investigated thoroughly and still came to find him, it seemed that she really wanted to destroy the Jie Hall. The disciple taught by Qing Wei was even crazier than she was in the past. Of course. Empress Lingyao said, I am not trying to get you to join us. I am here to tell you that sooner or later, we will stand on the same side and face the same enemy. You are sure that my disciple will fall out with the Jie Hall? Jinren Tonggu asked. Senior, have you heard of the Cosmic Fortress? I have. It was blown up by your disciple. Ha! Jinren Tonggu's eyes widened. Empress Lingyao said, as everyone knows, the Jie Hall built the Cosmic Fortress in the lower realm to imprison traitors. Jun Changshao blew it up, which is tantamount to openly challenging the authority of the Jie Hall. If the 10 major immortal level sects pursue this matter, it will be a big problem. Jinren Tonggu's expression became interesting. The Jie Hall is wary of senior's prestige, so they have always tried to minimize the problem. Empress Lingyao said, but if Jun Changshao does something unbearable in the future, when the accumulated conflict erupts, the 10 major immortal level sects will probably come to you for an explanation. Jinren Tonggu said to himself, I regret taking him as my disciple. Chapter 1422. Jinren Tonggu dared to protect his disciple in front of the other clans, but regretted taking him in as a disciple when he heard that he was from the 10 great celestial sects. This meant that the latter's power was definitely above the other clans. It made sense. The upper realm was dominated by humans. If there was no absolute power to suppress them, why would the other clans stay in their own realms? But Jinren Tonggu's regret was useless. Since he had already boarded Jun Changshao's car, the doors must have been welded shut. He could either sit there forever, or the car would crash. Senior. Empress Lingyao said, I'll take my leave now. After watching her leave, Jinren Tonggu asked telepathically, old friend, what do you think? This girl is not simple. Masato Kitano walked out from the shadows. He had heard the entire conversation. Jinren Tonggu frowned. Spiritual Master Qingwei has taken in a very ambitious disciple. He believed some of the words. But there were some that he did not believe. For example, she overthrew the Jie Hall to avenge her master. It must be nonsense. There must be another reason behind it, and it was just a good excuse. Jun Changshao had never interacted with Empress Lingyao before, but from what he knew, he could tell that she was scheming. Daoist Tonggu was a veteran of the Jianghu, so he could naturally tell from their brief conversation. The Jie Hall may be backed by the 10 great celestial sects, but if this girl really wants to overthrow them, she might succeed. Masato Kitano said. Bullshit. Jinren Tonggu said, how can a little girl overthrow an organization that has been around for so long? Nothing is impossible in this world if one has the will. Perfected Chi Yi said seriously, the more impossible something seems, the more likely it is that there will be an unexpected twist. Ha! Jinren Tonggu said, you have high hopes for this girl? No. Masato Kitano smiled and said, I think more highly of your disciple because he offended all the major clans right after ascending to the upper realm. This kind of reckless behavior is not something an ordinary person can do. Upon hearing this, Jinren Tonggu felt a headache coming on. After all, they were master and disciple. If he really offended the top 10 celestial level sects in the future, wouldn't that be equivalent to digging his own grave? Back then, the Realm Hall wanted to build a prison in the lower realms to imprison traitors. Many people didn't approve of it, fearing that it would endanger the creatures of the mortal realms, but they still did it. It's not bad that it was blown up by your disciple, Masato Kitano said. Don't say it. Jinren Tonggu said, my head hurts. This was also a matter. Although the Realm Hall did not pursue this matter, it was still a hidden danger. If it was exposed one day, and the 10 great celestial sects came to demand an explanation from him, it would really be. Could he just take his luggage and leave? 2 years ago, when he faced all the major races and said, I'm not a scapegoat, I'm only here to support you, he had touched countless people. Now, he couldn't take it anymore and planned to run away like the Taishen old man. No, no. Jinren Tonggu said seriously, I have to hurry to Fengqi Celestial Mountain and warn that guy not to cause any more trouble. The entire upper realms knew that he and Jinren Tonggu were master and disciple. Even if he ran away with his luggage, the scapegoat would still come. The best way was to not let him cause any trouble, especially not to offend the Realm Hall. Old friend. Masato Kitano said, many things happen because of the unseen world. Even if we can interfere, who knows if it will lead to more trouble? This, Jinren Tonggu fell into a short silence. He smiled bitterly and said, my Taoist heart is in a mess. Forget it, forget it. Many things have already been decided. Forcefully interfering might backfire. We can only take one step at a time. Come, let's continue playing chess. Masato Kitano sat down and picked up a chess piece. He smiled and said, whether your disciple will become a chess piece or a chess player in the upper realms, that will depend on him. Jinren Tonggu shook his head and said, if he can't find that realm, you and I will also be chess pieces. Sect of all times. Jun Changshao was a little happy recently. After upgrading the technique pavilion, the martial arts that he had exchanged for had been strengthened. Moreover, he did not need to cultivate them again. His disciples would only become stronger. Patriarch Li Luoqiu reported, the Realm Hall has announced that they have sent Empress Ling Yao to the extreme cave abode to ask Senior Tonggu about the destruction of the Fuqian sect. Oh? Jun Changshao frowned. Not only did this organization not fear my master, they even dared to ask him for an explanation. A few days later, Li Luoqiu reported again, the Realm Hall has announced that the matter has been investigated. The destruction of the Fuqian sect was due to their own actions. Gou Xing immediately laughed. As a master, I still have some power. The Realm Hall's announcement was probably just for show. In reality, the entire matter had little to do with Jinren Tonggu. It was all because Empress Ling Yao had reported the truth to the Realm Hall. It was reasonable and there was no fault to be found. After the Realm Hall had given their verdict, the matter of the Fuqian sect could be considered to have come to an end. However, the discussion of the sect of all times did not decrease. Instead, it increased. It even had a tendency to engulf the entire upper realm. Ding! You have destroyed the Fuqian sect and made a name for yourself in the upper realm. You have received 300 sect reputation points. Ding! Sect reputation points, 500. The more people talked about the sect of all times, the stronger the reputation points. Therefore, after reaching a certain level, Jun Changshao was rewarded with 300 reputation points. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? The system asked. TCH Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, only 300 points. What's there to be surprised about? The system said, 500 reputation points can unlock reputation items. Host, don't be too greedy. Fuck. Jun Changshao cursed. All the reputation items have been replaced. Now there's none. Refresh. The system said. There are still many good things that haven't been bought. It's a pity to refresh them. The sky-piercing blade that required reputation points to buy had been replaced by reputation points. It had not been refreshed until now. Now that there were many new items that he wanted to buy, it would be even more painful to refresh them. To put it bluntly, Gou Xing still did not have the money. Otherwise, he would have bought all the good things that caught his eye and refreshed them happily. Then hurry up and do the mission. The system said, don't sit at home waiting like a master. After all, it won't fall from the sky for no reason. Ding! Side mission activated. Fuck. Jun Changshao, who was sitting in the sect, really did wait for a mission that fell from the sky. The content was host, please visit the Alchemy Hall headquarters within half a year and discuss alchemy with many masters. This is too much. That's too much. In fact, Gou Sheng had sent a message saying that he would visit the Alchemy Hall soon. However, it was just a simple visit to see if he could persuade some alchemy masters to join the sect. In the end, this mission forced him to go and brag. No, no. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, if it's about martial arts knowledge, I can rely on the insight talisman to cheat. However, I don't know anything about alchemy. I'm afraid it won't work if I go and brag. Regret. Why didn't he follow the path of omnipotence back then? Alchemy, talisman, forging, whatever he could learn, he would have learned it all. The system said, it takes a long time to go from the sect of all times to the Alchemy Hall headquarters. Host can use the number of visits every month to refresh the store. Perhaps there will be items related to alchemy? The reader said again that this dog will get whatever he wants. Walk your own path and let others talk about it. Sigh, that's the only way. Because the mission only had half a year, Jun Changshao hurriedly arranged things and set off. On the way, he took out 2 alchemy secret manuals and studied them. If he could not cheat in the future, he could only rely on last-minute efforts. The system was puzzled. When did you get these secret manuals? Nonsense. Jun Changshao said, of course, I borrowed them from Hall Master Feng and Hall Master Du. Fine. The possibility of returning them is not high, but the possibility of confiscating them is high. Chapter 1423. Boom! Suddenly, a deafening explosion came from the depths of the cliff. Then, a strong cultivator wearing the uniform of the Jia Hall crashed into the stone wall and was buried by the broken rocks. A bare-chested young man retracted his fist, put his hands on his forehead, and said, "You think you can kill me by sending a bastard over? What wishful thinking." Although he was only 12 or 13 years old, the aura around his hair was very powerful. Killing an 8 transformation core cultivator in an instant was the best proof. After returning from this reincarnation, my strength has increased greatly. The young man looked up coldly and said, Jie Hall, this is the beginning of your nightmare. Swoosh! 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 At this moment, several men in black with good cultivation flew over from afar. Then, they respectfully half-knelt on the ground and said in unison, Welcome back, my lord. The young man said, Have you been bullied by the Jie Hall during the time I was not here? My lord. One of the men in black said, We hid very well and were not discovered by the Jie Hall. The young man shook his head, and his eyes gradually became cold. He said, I'm back again. You don't have to hide anymore. Everyone's eyes burned with passion. All these years, because of the lack of a leader, they had completely lost their goal. Now that the lighthouse was lit again, it would definitely guide them in the right direction. My lord. Someone said, when you were imprisoned, Buried Moon Pavilion sent a letter, hoping to join forces to fight against the Jie Hall. Buried Moon Pavilion? The young man sneered. Are they worthy of joining forces with me? My lord, Buried Moon Pavilion has been fighting with the Jie Hall for thousands of years. Their strength is unfathomable. I think we can join forces with them, that person said. You think? The young man turned around and said coldly, What's the use of having a boss like me? The man in black hurriedly bowed. I didn't mean to offend you. The young man lightly jumped onto the boulder in front of him and swung his slightly stiff arms. Garish tattoos gradually appeared on his exposed back. He said, I can't trust these forces that are hiding in the dark at all. Oh right. He slapped his head and said, I can trust you, old brother. Old brother? His subordinates were stunned. Their lord was not young in the upper realm, but he actually called someone old brother. The other party was probably not ordinary. What a pity. The young man shook his head again and said, It's only been over 10 years since I reincarnated. My brother should still be working hard in the lower realms. As soon as he said this, his subordinates immediately widened their eyes. They had obtained a very important piece of information from their lord's monologue. The so-called old brother was in the lower realm, so how strong could he be? Master. One of the men in black plucked up his courage and asked, Who is this elder brother of yours? This, the young man rubbed his temples and said in puzzlement, That's strange. I only remember that there was a brother who treated me with sincerity, but I can't remember his name or what he looked like. His subordinates' mouths twitched. Sure enough, his lord still had his old problem. As long as he reincarnated, he would habitually lose a small part of his memory. Let's not think about it anymore. The youth said, In short, this brother of mine is very strong. If you see him in the future, you must be respectful. His subordinates broke down even more. He didn't know his name or what he looked like. Even if they met face to face in the future and couldn't recognize each other, how could they be respectful? After the youth and the men in black had a simple conversation, they left the cliff. He believed that without further explanation, the readers would be able to guess that this person was the tattooed man who wanted to die in the Starry Sky Fortress. As for his elder brother, it must be Jun Changshao without a doubt. After all, the two of them were brothers of life and death. Unfortunately, because of the memory loss caused by reincarnation, he couldn't remember Go Sheng's name and appearance. Whether the two of them would meet in the future would depend on the plot. After a long time, the expert from the Jie Hall who was buried in the rubble and pretended to be dead crawled out while enduring his injuries. He thought to himself, this traitor has reincarnated again. I must inform the Jie Hall as soon as possible. And, my elder brother's identity is definitely not simple. As someone who had followed the youth for a long time, he knew that the youth was arrogant. He always liked to treat others as his little brothers and himself as the master. To be able to call him elder brother, his strength must be extraordinary. The Jie Hall. After a few of the higher-ups received the news, they immediately discussed with serious expressions. One of them said angrily, that guy was reincarnated again. This person is extremely dangerous. We must capture him as soon as possible so that we can't do anything about it. The buried moon pavilion is actually related to him. If both sides form an alliance, it will definitely bring a lot of trouble to the Jie Hall and even the entire upper realm. And my elder brother, since he can call that guy brother, I'm afraid he's also a dangerous person. We need to find out his identity as soon as possible so that we can make timely responses. Elder brother. He was destined to be unlucky. The camera turned to the unlucky, to Jun Changxiao's point of view. At this moment, he was walking while studying the arcana. Although he had obtained a lot of knowledge about pills, he was still a far cry from being a master. If he were to go to some other small-scale pill organization and brag blindly, Go Sheng might be able to fool them, but what kind of place was the Alchemy Hall? The most authoritative pill organization in the upper realm, there must be many masters inside. No. Jun Changxiao broke down. I definitely can't beat them. Stop trying. The system said, think of a way to cheat. Sigh. Jun Changxiao shook his head and immediately opened the beginner's shop. Then, he refreshed the remaining 4 items. In the end, there was not a single item related to pills, so he broke down. I'm a VIP. It's not like you're buying it for a year. The system complained. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Jun Changxiao stopped in his tracks. His gaze locked onto the last item in the item column. Bluff suit? What he was concerned about was that it was actually a piece of reputation equipment. Moreover, because the price was 500, it had been automatically unlocked and was in a purchasable state. The key point was the introduction item, Bluff suit. Introduction, a costume that can pretend to be powerful. Advantage, can change between martial arts, pills, formations, and other aspects at will, thus obtaining a powerful and intimidating aura. Disadvantage, if you encounter a super strong powerhouse, there is a high chance that it will be seen through. Use with caution. Price, 500 reputation points. The system said, what the host wants, isn't it here now? Fuck. Jun Changxiao broke down. I worked so hard to earn 500 reputation points, and I have to spend it on an item that can only be used to bluff? Not only can this item improve your pills, it can also improve your martial arts aura. In the future, if the host encounters a strong powerhouse outside, you can take it out to bluff. Maybe it can scare the other party. The system said. That makes sense. Jun Changxiao fell into a short silence. The system said, 2 years ago, when all the major clans surrounded the sect of all times, your master, Jinren Tonggu, appeared and suppressed the patriarch of the Lingwei True sect to the point that he had difficulty breathing. This is because of his aura. If I wear this reputation equipment, I can obtain the powerful aura of my master. Jun Changxiao's eyes lit up. The system hurriedly said, I'm just guessing. Whether it can achieve that effect or not, we'll only know after using it. Jun Changxiao hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, I'll buy it. Ding! The host has spent 500 reputation points and obtained Bluff Suit X1. It has been transferred into the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500. The advantage of reputation equipment was that it could be purchased with reputation points. Therefore, the broken contribution points system would gradually and gloriously retire from the stage of history. Therefore, please bow 3 times. Chapter 1424. He had bought the bluff suit, but his reputation points had been reset to 0. Sigh. Jun Changxiao sighed, I saved it up with great difficulty, and now it's all gone. Compared to the hundreds of thousands of contribution points, a few hundred reputation points were pitifully little. It even made him feel like he was the poorest person in the past. Don't worry. The system comforted him, reputation goods are better than contribution points goods. The host will definitely not lose out or be cheated. Jun Changxiao rolled his eyes and said, Did you get a kickback again? I never get a kickback. The system's tone was unyielding. It was obvious that it was very confident. Jun Changshao ignored it and took out the bluff suit with a wave of his hand. This was a garment similar to a robe. The style was quite novel, and it would not look old-fashioned when worn. In fact, whether the clothes were old-fashioned or not depended on the person wearing it. Go Sheng, with his perfect figure and appearance, was completely a walking clothes hanger. No matter what he wore, he looked good. Xiao. His mind entered and established a connection. In an instant, Jun Changxiao's soul seemed to have entered a wonderful world. There were crystal-clear balls floating there, and they emitted different auras. There were martial arts, sword arts, alchemy, and many more. Understood. That's a bluff, Yi Zichen said. Jun Changxiao stopped in front of the ball that represented martial arts. He gently raised his hand and touched it. The outside world suddenly opened its eyes, and a monstrous wave of qi instantly enveloped him. Shua! Shua! In the wilderness, more than 10 martial artists were running. One of them wondered, strange, I clearly saw that monster running here. Why is there no trace of it? It's already injured. It can't run far. The leader shouted, search carefully. Big brother. At this moment, a martial artist shouted, there's someone in front. And only then did everyone realize that a man in a robe was standing in the forest with his eyes closed. He seemed to be thinking about something, or maybe, he was asleep. Awesome! In a place where monsters often roamed, he actually dared to be absent-minded. Big brother, judging from this guy's clothes, he seems to be a rich man. Why don't we? A warrior smirked. The cultivator called Big Brother said seriously, this person's aura is not strong. In such a dangerous place, he could be eaten by demonic beasts at any time. Shouldn't we give him some benefits in order to send him out safely? Yes, yes. His subordinate hurriedly echoed. Go! Swoosh! Whoosh! Everyone quickly approached. Right at this moment, the young man who had been standing still all this time suddenly opened his eyes, and an explosive aura instantly surged out from his body. Caw! Everyone stopped abruptly, and their eyes were suffused with astonishment. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted, making them feel as if there were 100,000 mountains on their backs. Oh my God! This was a super expert. Under the powerful aura, everyone's legs did not listen to them. They fell to the ground, paralyzed, and some even wet their pants. Jun Changshao, who had just activated the martial arts special effect of the bluff suit, noticed that there were more than 10 people lying beside him. Hence, he turned around and asked, what's the matter? Because of the powerful martial arts aura, just speaking 2 words contained unfathomable profoundness, which shocked the group of cultivators so much that their souls almost flew out of their bodies. Almighty! Great God! No, no! Big Brother suppressed his fear and said with a trembling voice, nothing, oh. Jun Changshao responded and then continued on his way. He did not know how strong the martial arts aura he released was, but it should be able to scare a group of void-piercing realm cultivators to the point that they could not stand up. Who? Watching Go Sheng leave, more than 10 cultivators were relieved. Some even covered their faces and cried, obviously too frightened. Right. This suit can change its form at will. On the way, Jun Changshao became interested, so many styles appeared in his mind. After confirming one, the long robe on his body quickly turned black, and then a red cloud pattern appeared. Not handsome enough. Xiao. The bluff turned white again, with the words second-generation leader on the back, and then the words justice. When he walked out of the forest, it turned into a brownish-red short suit with the word Lord on the chest. The system roared, please, this is not a cosplay suit. The division of the upper realm was similar to the Starfall continent, but it was divided by regions, such as the southeast region and the northwest region. The most central region was called the Central Region, and it was also the most prosperous region in the whole world. The headquarters of the Realm Hall, Alchemy Hall, and other organizations were mostly set up in the central region. If Jun Changshao wanted to visit, he would definitely have to walk all the way from the southeast region to the central region. The journey was so long that it would take years just by walking. Fortunately, he had the rainbow wings. Although the flying speed was not super fast, its advantage was that it could save energy and reduce emissions, and its endurance was very good. After summoning Jun Changshao, he dragged Flowing Light along with him. In just 2 months, he had entered the central region. TSK. The heaven and earth attribute here is stronger than the southeast region. Along the way, not only did he see the magnificent mountains and rivers of the central region, but he also met many powerful martial artists. Thus, he sighed. Every place has its own people. There should be more experts here. What's that? Damn, the light is so beautiful. The martial artists also noticed the colorful stream of light flashing in the sky. They looked up and confirmed that it was a martial artist flying, and it was a pair of colorful wings. Their eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. The system said, "Host, you're so ostentatious. Be careful of being robbed." "It's done." Jun Changshao said, "I've been healed by you. I'll definitely be safe." The system broke down. As the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Host, you'll definitely be targeted by people with bad intentions if you fly in the sky so ostentatiously. Tell me more. This will make me safer. Fuck. I'm serious. The scene changed. Jun Changshao landed safely in front of Wushuang City. This was one of the large-scale cities in the central region, and also the headquarters of the Alchemy Hall. Standing in front of the tall city gate, Goshen was speechless. It's so fucking magnificent. The system was silent. He flew over so ostentatiously, yet he wasn't robbed. It was really illogical. Stop. Just as he was about to enter the city, a dignified general blocked his way and shouted, "Anyone who wants to enter Wushuang City must provide proof of identity." There were more rules in big cities, so it was necessary to provide proof of identity. Jun Changshao wasn't a troublemaker. He cooperated and took out his proof of identity as a permanent resident of Lin Yuan City. Not only did Lu Deshui give him proof, he also gave it to all the disciples of the sect of all times. It could be said that the entire sect was a legal resident of Lin Yuan City. Sorry. The general said coldly, residents of low-level cities are not qualified to enter Wushuang City. Jun Changshao smiled and said, "Can you make an exception?" The general still had to check other people's proof of identity along the way, so he waved his hand impatiently and said, "Get lost." Fuck. You're so arrogant. Whoosh. Jun Changshao stopped pretending and directly took out the pocket-sized ancient warship. He shouted, "Open your eyes and see what this is." Whoosh whoosh. A thick aura instantly burst out. The general was so shocked that he took a step back. When he saw the words carved on it, he blurted out, "Ancient warship." The passers-by who were queuing to enter the city were also shocked. They all looked over until they saw the warship and felt the thick aura. Their expressions gradually turned to shock. You. The general suppressed the shock in his heart and said, "You're the patriarch of the sect of all times." Ha! The central region also heard of him. Jun Changshao took out the patriarch's token and said proudly, "It's the real deal." If he took out the token first, he would definitely be doubted. After all, one mystical stone could buy a few hundred tokens. But now, he was convinced because the thick aura of the ancient warship couldn't be imitated. So it's Jun Patriarch, sorry for the disrespect. The general's attitude immediately became extremely warm. Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Can you show me how to roll?" Okay. The general directly fell to the ground and rolled around. Jun Changshao's expression immediately stiffened. He thought to himself, he's actually so skilled. Chapter 1425. After showing him the ancient warship, the general was instantly terrified. Of course, rolling on the ground was not because he had been slapped in the face too many times, but because Jinren Tonggu's identity was too high. Even if he was not familiar with it, he had to force himself to be familiar with it. Sigh. Jun Changshao shook his head. He thought that he could show off to his heart's content after showing his identity, but he did not expect the other party to be so cooperative. Can I enter the city? Yes, yes. The general was still rolling on the ground. When he saw the other party enter the city, he quickly stood up and patted the dust off his body. He pointed at the passers-by in the distance and shouted, "Anyone who enters Wushuang City must provide proof of identity." This guy was revived with full health again. Oh my god. That guy is actually Jinren Tonggu's disciple. Everyone started discussing. There were two reasons why the sect of all times gradually rose to fame in the pugilistic world. First, the various clans surrounded Feng Qi Celestial Mountain, and second, they destroyed Fuqian's sect. Strange, why is he here in Wushuang City? I heard that Lin Yuan City's ancient elixir store is a subsidiary of the sect of all times. Is he here to visit the elixir hall? Wushuang City was considered one of the famous cities in the upper world. Because of the elixir hall's headquarters, the elixirs and herbs were more developed. It was a top large-scale herb market. After Jun Changshao entered the city, he smelled the strong smell of herbs in the air, so he was not in a hurry to go to the elixir hall's headquarters. He strolled around the city until he saw dazzling materials. He thought to himself, before I leave, I can buy some herb seeds. Of course. If his strength allowed it, he could open an elixir store here in the future. The elixir hall's headquarters was located in the east district of Wushuang City. Jun Changshao asked the passers-by and stopped in front of a magnificent and dazzling mansion. Who are you? The guard asked. Jun Changshao put his hands behind his back and said loudly, Patriarch of the sect of all times, Jun Changshao. A trace of surprise appeared in the guard's eyes. Then, he quickly entered the mansion to report. Not long after, the hall master of the Pill Hall, Bai Zhaoyang, personally led the higher-ups out to welcome them. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, Jun Patriarch's visit has brought light to my humble abode. The identity of Jinren Tonggu's personal disciple was enough to attract the attention of the alchemy hall. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said a few polite words. Then, he was invited into the hall and placed in a VIP seat. As a professional and authoritative alchemy organization, Gou Sheng could sense a much richer smell of medicinal herbs the moment he stepped in. This was especially so for the few old men accompanying the guests. Just from their auras alone, he could tell that they were grandmasters in alchemy. If you join my sect, the medicine hall won't have to worry about not being able to grow stronger. Hall Master Bai. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, could these people be the chief alchemists of the Pill Hall? Bai Zhaoyang said, they are elders in charge of daily internal affairs. As for the chief alchemists, they mostly don't live in the Pill Hall unless they have something to discuss. As an organization without any power, their main focus was on alchemy. Even if they became a member, their freedom would not be restricted. I see. Jun Changshao said, everyone's auras are incomparably dense. You must all be grandmasters of alchemy. An elder smiled and said, our alchemy standards are not as good as the chief alchemists. Jun Patriarch can completely defeat Du Hongchen, so he can't bear the title of grandmaster. These words were not only very modest, but they also praised Gou Sheng. No, no, no. Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, I only know a little about alchemy. I'm far from being as proficient as all of you. Truth. There was nothing wrong with it. But the elders present all thought that he was being modest. Jun Patriarch. Bai Zhaoyang smiled and said, may I know why you have come to my realm hall? Jun Changshao said, your hall's two chief alchemists both hold important positions in my sect. I came to visit in hopes of improving our friendship. Schwa. He took out a space ring and said, it's just a small token of my appreciation. Although Jun Changxiao's personality was very cheap and mischievous, he was still quite particular in formal situations. After all, he was the master of a sect. This, Bai Xiaoyang still accepted the space ring that contained the medicinal herbs and said with a smile, "This old man has already arranged for the servants to prepare wine and dishes to welcome Jun Patriarch. Then I'll have to trouble you." Jun Changxiao was anxious. He had come to the Pill Hall headquarters, but he had not completed the side mission. It seemed that he had to spar with them in alchemy. There was still a while before dinner, so Bai Xiaoyang asked, "Jun Patriarch, what level have you reached in alchemy?" This, Jun Changxiao smiled and said, "It's not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning." He did not know the levels of alchemy in the upper realm at all. It was because he did not do enough homework. The system hurriedly explained, "Xian Zhendao Immortal." Jun Changxiao roared in his heart, "What's the difference between this and the level of a sect?" "There's no choice." The system said, "People in the upper realm are lazy." Jun Changxiao did not say his level, but Bai Xiaoyang and the rest were certain that this lad must have extremely high attainments in alchemy. Otherwise, he would not have been able to convince two chief alchemists. Jun Patriarch. One of the elders smiled and said, "This old man has recently encountered some problems in alchemy. I wonder if you can enlighten me." "It's here. The test is here." Jun Changxiao broke down in his heart and said, "Can't you ask after the meal? Must you force me to reveal my true colors?" He could not panic. Go Shen calmed down and said, "The path of alchemy is mysterious and unpredictable. The more I study, the more I don't understand, so I'm afraid it's difficult to enlighten you." Everyone nodded in agreement. There was no end to learning alchemy. When one comprehended to a whole new level, there would be a whole new level waiting for them, so no one dared to claim that they had completely understood it. Moreover, Jun Changxiao said again, "Master often told me that even if I am a master, I must have the heart of an apprentice. As the saying goes, there is a path on the mountain of alchemy with diligence, and the sea of refinement is boundless with hardship. The road is long, and I will explore it from top to bottom." The system said, "Blind bragging, I only admire the host." That makes sense. Everyone benefited a lot from this and secretly said in their hearts, "This is a real master. No wonder he could convince the arrogant Du Hongchen. Listening to your words is better than studying for 10 years. Bai Xiaoyang cupped his hands and said. Jun Changxiao said modestly, "We are all in the same line of alchemy. It's just giving each other pointers." In terms of bragging, Gosheng still had some talent, so once he started talking, he couldn't stop talking. He directly made the higher-ups of the alchemy hall ponder, sometimes come to a realization and sometimes rejoice. Of course, he couldn't talk too blindly. He had to be more hardcore. So Jun Changxiao talked while communicating with the alchemy in his bluff. Every time he talked about a key point, his aura would appear from inside out until it was completely stimulated. The aura of an alchemy grandmaster had already gathered in his body. Bai Xiaoyang and the others were fascinated and didn't notice at first. When they came back to their senses and felt the strong alchemy aura in the hall, their eyes suddenly widened. Oh my god! This aura was too terrifying. Everyone couldn't judge what level Jun Changxiao was at from his aura, but they all deeply realized that his understanding of alchemy was definitely much stronger than theirs. Shame! Shame! The elders who wanted to ask about alchemy immediately dismissed the idea. In their opinion, it was blatant disrespect to ask someone because of a small problem. Ding! Side mission completed. Obtained 500,000 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 650000. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the side mission and triggering the hidden reward. Obtained experience talisman X5. That's it? After hearing the notification, Jun Changxiao said with a smile, "I was still boasting to my heart's content." Chapter 1426. When Jun Changshao was bragging just now, the upper echelons of the alchemy hall were a little confused. What he said made sense, but it had nothing to do with alchemy. It was a must. Go Leftover didn't understand alchemy in the first place, so he naturally couldn't brag about anything. He could only intentionally say some irrelevant yet thought-provoking words. Since that was the case, why did he complete the epic mission? Because he was bluffing. When Jun Changshao gradually released his alchemy aura, Bai Xiaoyang and the rest were stunned. This was not a master. This was a grandmaster. It was an honor to be able to listen to him talk about alchemy. To put it bluntly, when Jun Changshao released his alchemy aura, even a casual sentence would make one's imagination run wild. They might even think that it contained some profound meaning of alchemy. This just happened to meet the core requirements of discussing alchemy. Third Elder. Bai Xiaoyang sent a voice transmission. Did you remember what Jun Patriarch said just now? I remembered everything, not a single word left out. Good, good. A smile appeared on Bai Xiaoyang's face. He thought to himself, in the future, I'll engrave it and give a copy to every member of the alchemy hall. Maybe they can comprehend something from it. On this day, every word Gosheng said was recorded by the alchemy hall. It was known as the Dog Monarch Study. Using words that had nothing to do with alchemy to successfully fool a group of alchemy masters. This was something only a cheat could do. Only 5 experience talismans. Jun Changshao was still not satisfied with the reward for completing the mission. Because there were no more detailed levels for each transition, when to reach the maximum value and when to trigger the epic mission, he could only rely on experience talismans to level up. Naturally, the more the better. Jun Patriarch. Bai Xiaoyang smiled. The dishes have been prepared. Oh. Jun Changshao replied with a smile. Then, he retracted his aura of alchemy and returned to his normal state. Without the support of bluffing, it was completely difficult to see the alchemy aura. So, Bai Xiaoyang and the rest exclaimed in their hearts, he can control his aura so freely. As expected of a grandmaster of alchemy. Jun Changshao had successfully created the image of a Pill Dao grandmaster in front of the pill hall by relying on his prestige goods to cheat. The power of cheating made people look up to him. Please. Please. Jun Changshao sat at the table. Because they were worried that they would make a fool of themselves in front of an expert, Bai Xiaoyang and the higher-ups accompanying the guests did not talk about alchemy the entire time. The atmosphere was quite harmonious. AI. After 3 rounds of wine, Jun Changshao sighed. Bai Xiaoyang asked in confusion, why did Jun Patriarch sigh? Jun Changshao said bitterly, Pond Master Bai, you should know that the sect of all times has just ascended from the lower realm, right? Your esteemed sect went against the formation of 10,000 tribulation heavenly thunder set up by the realm hall and successfully led your disciples to immortal ascension. This is something that everyone in the upper world knows. When I heard about it, I was filled with admiration for Jun Patriarch. Bai Xiaoyang said. This wasn't flattery, but rather genuine admiration. It was because since the ancient times until now, there had never been anyone who led a sect into ascension. This type of magnificent feat would definitely be recorded in the annals of history. AI. Jun Changshao smiled bitterly and said, Jun originally thought that he could pursue a higher realm after ascending to the upper realm, but after more than 2 years here, I realized that it's too difficult to establish a foothold here. Yes. Bai Xiaoyang and the higher-ups nodded in understanding. Most of them ascended through alchemy, and all of them had experienced the huge difference of falling from the top to the bottom. To be able to survive in a whole new world system, this process was too difficult. Bai Xiaoyang smiled and said, Jun Patriarch, you don't have to worry. Your esteemed sect will have a place in the upper realms sooner or later. Hall Master Bai must be thinking that my honored master is Jinren Tonggu, so it's natural for me to survive in the upper realm, Jun Changshao said. Bai Xiaoyang smiled awkwardly and politely. Yes. That was what he thought. As one of the top powerhouses in the upper realm, other than those top-notch celestial sects, who dared not give him face. With such a background, it was only a matter of time before the sect of all times became powerful. Jun Changshao said, "When Honored Master took me in as a disciple, he said that I can only rely on myself for the development of the sect. He won't provide any help." Bai Zhaoyang and the higher-ups were speechless. Developing a sect in the upper realm was not a joke. As the Honored Master, he actually did not provide any help. It was really a little. Senior Tonggu must have made Jun Patriarch understand that in this cruel world, it was better to rely on oneself than on others. A mighty person was indeed a mighty person. He had put in a lot of effort. The extent of his imagination was so exaggerated that even Yi Xingqian, He Wudi, and the Purple King would have to admit defeat. So, Jun Changshao said, Jun began to think about how to develop the sect. After thinking about it, he still decided to buy property first, and then opened a pill store in Linyuan City. Bai Zhaoyang's left eyelid, which had stopped twitching, suddenly twitched wildly again. Could it be that his fortune was coming? One of the higher-ups said, this humble one was fortunate enough to take the pills sold in Jun Patriarch's pill store. The seemingly ordinary profound essence nourishing pill had 10 times the effect. It's really unbelievable. This pill was refined by Feng Guichen. Ah! Everyone was stunned. They recognized Feng Guichen's alchemy skills, but how could he refine such a powerful pill? Of course. Jun Changshao said again, there is a difference between the formula of the pill and the ordinary formula. As soon as he said this, everyone immediately understood. It turned out that the pill that was 10 times stronger than the ordinary profound essence nourishing pill did not rely on Feng Guichen's alchemy skills, but the addition of an exclusive formula. Jun Changshao said, Honored Master has always warned Jun that whether it is martial arts or alchemy, the ultimate goal is to benefit the world. That's why I refined this special formula into a pill and sold it to the outside world. Pay! The system finally could not take it anymore. He was clearly using it to make money to support the sect, but he actually shamelessly claimed that it would benefit the world. His shamelessness had reached a new high. Jun Patriarch's actions are truly a blessing to the world. Bai Zhaoyang raised his cup and said seriously, this Bai salutes you. I also salute Jun Patriarch. All the higher-ups raised their cups, their eyes filled with admiration. The Realm Hall was not an organization that made profits, but a public welfare organization that focused on research and development. Every time there was a new discovery or result, it would announce it to the public and benefit the entire alchemy community. It was similar to Jun Changzhao's plan to sell his exclusive pill recipes for the benefit of the world. It was a different approach to achieve the same result. Respect. Respect in all caps. Ha! Jun Changshao drank his wine and said bitterly, unfortunately, because of my limited ability, Jun is unable to let more cultivators enjoy the benefits of high-grade pills. You can open a branch, Bai Zhaoyang said. Hearing this, the system finally understood the host's plan and blurted out, holy shit, and yo. Ha! Jun Changshao sighed and said, if there are more talents in alchemy. At this point, he looked at everyone and said, Jun is confident that he can spread his alchemy shops all over the upper realm and let everyone have access to high-grade pills. My pill hall has talents in alchemy and is willing to assist Jun Patriarch in benefiting the world. Bai Zhaoyang said seriously. The system was speechless. You've been led into a ditch. This. Jun Changshao said, how can I trouble your pill hall? Jun Patriarch, you don't have to be so polite. Bai Zhaoyang said, my pill hall was established to benefit the world. As long as you don't mind, we will do our best to help promote high-grade pills. That's right. All the higher-ups expressed their support. In that case. Jun Changshao poured wine and said, how many alchemists are there in the Realm Hall? Third-grade alchemists have 26,000, second-grade alchemists 76,000, first grade alchemists 43,000, and alchemy masters 18,000, Bai Zhaoyang said. First grade, second grade, and alchemy masters were the pill hall's classifications. According to the upper realm standards, even the lowest third-grade alchemists were at the black level. All the major sects would definitely fight for them. Fuck. Jun Changshao said to himself, so many people. If an alchemy shop was managed by an alchemy master and a few first-grade, second-grade, and second-grade alchemists, they could definitely open more than 10,000 branches. The daily profits, no. Jun Changshao held his head and said, the alcohol is too strong, I'm a little dizzy. After a round of drinking, the sect of all times and the pill hall reached an agreement. Both sides sincerely cooperated to promote high-quality pills in the upper realm. Of course. They definitely had to sign a contract. After all, even blood-related brothers had to settle accounts clearly to prevent any unpleasant things from happening. It was definitely unrealistic to ask the Realm Hall to send people to refine pills voluntarily, so Jun Changshao planned to pay them a salary. Jun Patriarch. Bai Zhaoyang said, why don't we calculate it based on commission? Ha! Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. Big brother. You're actually taking a commission for something that benefits the world, isn't this a little too much? Or was it just a fart before, and it was actually just a collaboration to make money together? Moreover, Bai Zhaoyang said, I've already inquired about the price of the alchemy shop that your sect opened in Lin Yuan City. I feel that it's a little low, so I still need to raise it. Hearing this, Jun Changshao was immediately sure that this guy wanted to make money together and share it. Fuck. Why did he feel like he was being tricked? But the truth? Not bad. Go Sheng was tricked by Bai Zhaoyang. To be precise, his left eyelid had been twitching non-stop recently. After being reminded by the higher-ups that fortune was coming, and hearing that the other party wanted to promote pills, he suddenly realized that this was fortune, right? Wasn't this an opportunity? Since you want to benefit the world, and my realm hall cares about the common people, we'll definitely cooperate. Many people thought that Bai Zhaoyang's left eyelid was twitching, and that a disaster was coming. Little did they know that fortune was really coming this time. Only the Taishian elder and Jinren Tonggu, who had bad omens, were really going to be tricked by Go Sheng. Of course. Actually, it couldn't be said who was tricking who. After all, Jun Changshao's side provided high-grade medicinal herbs, and the pill hall provided people to refine pills. Both sides benefited from each other and walked hand in hand towards a win-win situation. Jun Patriarch, please rest assured. Bai Zhaoyang said, my pill hall will share the corresponding profits according to the people sent out. The majority will still be your sect of all times. We definitely won't be greedy. Jun Changshao broke down. Can't we just pay a salary? At this moment, the capitalist's face was completely exposed. He just wanted the pill hall to take a fixed salary. At most, he would just give them some dividends and benefits during festivals. Jun Patriarch. Bai Zhaoyang said awkwardly, my pill hall's alchemists also have to live and support their families. Just paying a salary is definitely not enough, unless the monthly salary is at least 10 million. Jun Changshao immediately rolled his eyes and said, if your family's monthly salary is so high, I'll send my disciples to work for you tomorrow. It was originally a good thing to benefit the world, but after the two of them revealed their profiteering faces, the banquet completely turned into bargaining in a vegetable market, fighting for the greatest benefits for themselves. Looking back at the chapter title, the two of them were really Lin Yuan City. In a private room of a luxurious restaurant. Everyone. Yuan Gongzi drank a mouthful of tea and smiled. Do you have any objections to this price? The higher-ups of the family who had been haggled for a few hours were already dizzy at this moment. In the end, they could only compromise and say, no objections. Happy cooperation. Yuan Gongzi cupped his hands and got up to leave the restaurant. Then, he looked up at the sky and secretly said, Patriarch should have reached Wushuang City by now, right? All right. At the Pill Hall headquarters, Jun Changshao compromised and said, "Let's do it according to what we said just now. Your realm hall will send people to assist my sect of all times in refining pills. The payment will be based on the number of pills refined. Let's make it clear first. Different levels of pills will definitely have different prices." Jun Changshao hugged his head and broke down. "Hall Master Bai, you're simply wasting your time if you don't do business." "Fine. Just you wait. I'll bring old Yuan here when I have time and fight 300 rounds with you." Chapter 1427. Jun Changshao and the Alchemy Hall reached an agreement, and both sides established a cooperative relationship. One could provide herbs comparable to heaven and earth treasures, while the other had enough manpower to refine them. This could be considered a strong alliance. If his peers in the Alchemy Hall knew about this, they would probably start trembling in fear. This trip was worth it. Lying on the bed in the highest standard room arranged by the Alchemy Hall, Jun Changshao smiled with satisfaction. Although he lost in bargaining, it did not affect his mood. After all, as long as he had enough profits in the future, it did not matter if he lost a little. He came all the way to the Alchemy Hall for two purposes. One was to complete the side mission, and the other was to talk about cooperation. Now that both were done, it was free time. The next day, Jun Changshao went to the market, intending to buy some herbs and seeds. Bai Zhaoyang also took action. He issued a recall order for members to quickly return to the Alchemy Hall headquarters to discuss important matters. Among them were the 6 chief alchemists who were working part-time outside. It was obvious that the Alchemy Hall still attached great importance to the cooperation with the Sect of all times. In fact, they had all taken and studied the high-quality pills refined by Feng Guichen and gave them very high ratings. If they could mass produce and put into the market, it would definitely benefit the entire upper realm. Of course, if they could earn some money to support their families while benefiting the world, why not? Jun Changshao was shopping. The elites of the Alchemy Hall were coming from all over the world. Soon, there would be a big scene. As for whether he could win over the 6 chief alchemists and gather the 8 of them at the Sect of all times' Alchemy Hall, that would depend on his ability. Night. In a certain city, more than 10 men in black lurked in the dark. Their eyes were fixed on the Jie Hall branch residents. Their killing intent and anger gradually emerged. "No rush, no rush." A voice came from the darkest area of the alley. "Sooner or later, we'll kill to our heart's content." "Yes." Everyone whispered, "Master." The person who spoke walked out. With the help of the weak moonlight, it could be seen clearly that he was wearing a black robe, revealing a young face of about 12 or 13 years old. That's right. This was Jun Changshao's life and death brother, the tattooed man. After reincarnating and regaining his memory, he began to attack the Jie Hall. Tonight's sneak attack on the branch was the best proof. Time passed slowly. Dark clouds covered the moon, and the entire city fell into absolute darkness. Attack! Swoosh! Shwa! Whoosh! Dozens of streams of light rushed toward the Boundary Hall branch. Boom! Boom! Then, an explosive force resounded in the pitch-black city, instantly waking up the sleeping martial artists. They released their spiritual senses and found that the most magnificent mansion had been engulfed in flames. I'll go. Someone has ambushed the World Hall branch. For a time, the entire city was in an uproar. By the time they rushed over, the battle had already ended. The mansion that had been burned down by the fire had already been reduced to ruins. There are words on the wall. Right at this moment, someone exclaimed. Everyone looked at the outer wall of the Jie Hall branch that was still intact. On it were written the words, 10,000 years is too long. Seize every moment. How imposing. However, his handwriting was really ugly. 10,000 years is too long. Seize every minute. Someone read it several times and finally understood, but in exchange, the faces of all the cultivators present changed greatly as they exclaimed in unison, "Traitor, Gu Zhaoxi. That's not right. Wasn't this guy captured? Why is he here again? I heard that this person has a reincarnation spirit and can be reborn endlessly. Every time he dies, he will become stronger. He suddenly appeared here, destroyed the World Hall branch, and left behind dog-like handwriting. It seems like he wants to tell the world that he's back." Swoosh! Right at this moment, a black shadow rushed out from the dark and pressed the last person who spoke to the ground. He said coldly, "My handwriting is art. How dare you describe it as dog-like handwriting?" Swoosh! Swoosh! His subordinates hurriedly flew out from the dark and forcibly took their boss away. They roared in their hearts, "How many times has he been reborn? Why is Master's handwriting still so bad?" Some people were strong in some aspects, but weak in others. For example, Go Sheng. Once he opened his mouth, he would kill people. The tattooed man also had a shortcoming. No matter how many times he was reborn, his handwriting was still unsightly. Moreover, this guy did not know his own limits. When he fought against the World Hall, he always liked to leave behind a message with his bad handwriting. The news that a branch in a certain city had been destroyed quickly spread to the headquarters of the World Hall. It immediately ignited the anger of the higher-ups. As expected, an elder gritted his teeth and said, "As long as this guy is reborn, he will definitely cause trouble for us. Inform the branches in each city as soon as possible and have them increase their vigilance. Once they find out about the traitor, they must report it to the headquarters as soon as possible." The dignified elder sitting at the head of the table ordered. "Report. Empress Lingyao is here to see you." The higher-ups who were having a headache over the traitor were puzzled. Why is this woman here again? Previously, when they went to the extreme cave abode to find Jinren Tonggu to ask for an explanation, they ended up with the sect of all times destroying the Fuqian sect. This made them quite unhappy. However, they could not say anything about it. After all, Pei Sili had given them the location of the mine and secretly told the Lingwei True sect about it. "Let her in," the dignified elder said. Before long, Empress Lingyao, who was surrounded by clouds, walked into the main hall and said, "I am willing to volunteer to hunt down the traitor Gu Zhaoxi." Oh? The higher-ups were surprised. Even though this woman had a position in the realm hall, she was not sociable and did not care about anything. But now, she went to find Jinren Tonggu, and now she wanted to capture the traitor. This was quite strange. "Of course." Empress Lingyao said, "I have a condition." "What condition?" "Recently, I lack resources for cultivating martial path. If we capture the traitor Gu Zhaoxi, I hope the realm hall will reward us accordingly." Everyone heard this and understood. No wonder this woman had been so active recently, she lacked resources for cultivating martial path. "Do you have confidence in capturing that guy?" the dignified elder asked. Empress Lingyao said, "Back then, the realm hall sent a large number of experts and spent hundreds of years to capture him. I am not completely confident, but I can at least give it a try." "All right." The dignified elder agreed. The realm hall had been quite busy recently. They were lacking manpower. And this woman had ranked 9 cultivation level. As long as they found the traitor's hiding place, it should not be a problem to capture him. Empress Lingyao said, "If we capture Gu Zhaoxi, I will give you 10 million immortal stones." Saying so, she did not wait for the dignified elder's agreement and left the hall. She came in a hurry and left in a hurry. Is this woman so poor that she has gone crazy? Someone said angrily, "She actually asked for 10 million immortal stones to capture a traitor." Humph. A higher-up snorted, "Does she think she is someone important?" The dignified elder was silent for a while before saying, "Go ask Jin how his injuries are. If he is fine, let him cooperate with Empress Lingyao to capture the traitor Gu Zhaoxi." Yes. Boom. Boom. Somewhere in the wilderness, the tattooed man frantically bombarded the enchantment that bound him. When he couldn't break it, he angrily raised his head and said, "I didn't expect you to have learned the long-lost inescapable net seal." So, Empress Lingyao said, "You can't escape." After this woman agreed to capture the traitor, she only used a few days to find him. She even used a divine ability to seal him, making it difficult for him to escape. This was quite surprising. Swoosh! The tattooed man sat on the ground, saying, "Kill me or torture me, do as you wish." With the reincarnation spirit, he did not fear death. At most, he would be a good man again after 10 years. "I won't kill you." "What, you want to torture me?" "No, this empress wants to talk business with you." "Business?" Chapter 1428. Jun Changshao was not in a hurry to return to the sect. Instead, he stayed at the headquarters of the alchemy hall. Since the food was good, he would try his best to eat and drink. During this period of time, he visited all the shops in the market and bought many seeds. Among them were not only for refining the vitality enhancement pill, but also other types. The nourishing soil could quickly nurture medicinal herbs. Naturally, he would not stop at ordinary types. He would definitely refine stronger pills in the future, so he had to enrich the medicinal herbs. It was said that Jun Changshao was a hands-off shopkeeper. However, they did not know that he had been working hard for the sect ever since he came to the upper realm. He had never slacked off. Hall Master Bai. One day, Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and said, "Why aren't they here yet?" "No rush, no rush." Bai Zhaoyang smiled and said, "They're on the way. They'll be here soon." "Oh." Jun Changshao responded. Since he had nothing to do, he continued to stroll around Wushuang City. However, as soon as he entered a tea house, he heard people discussing the recent happenings in Jianghu. "Have you heard? The traitor Gu Zhaoxi has appeared again. The guy who was chased by the Jie Hall for hundreds of years before they finally captured him." "Yes, that's him." Hearing the word traitor, Jun Changshao immediately thought of his brother who died protecting him in the Starry Sky Fortress. His eyes were filled with melancholy and sadness. Other than those outside the sect, there were not many people who could make Goxing remember in his life. The tattooed man who was eager to die was definitely one of them. "Brother." Jun Changshao thought to himself, "Are you alive?" He had saved him from death. This was a great favor. If they could meet in the upper realm, he would definitely repay him. "I heard that this traitor has a reincarnation spirit. As long as he dies, he will be reborn. It's not just reborn. He becomes stronger every time he dies. What a monster." TSK, he destroyed a branch of the Jie Hall this time. "I'm afraid there will be a good show in the future." While everyone was discussing, Jun Changshao's expression changed from dull to ecstatic. Traitor. Reincarnation spirit. Combining these 2 points, the intelligent Jun Changshao was immediately sure that this person was his life and death brother. Fuck. So his name was Gu Zhaoxi. I fucking thought your name was Gu Wang. The Jie Hall definitely won't let the matter rest after destroying a branch. I'm afraid that he's now wanted by the entire world. I heard that the World Hall sent Empress Ling Yao to capture Gu Zhaoxi, and even after several hours of fighting, he still managed to escape. When Jun Changshao heard this, he was overjoyed and said, "My brother is so awesome after dying once. It's actually not weak. In fact, Gu Zhaoxi and Empress Ling Yao had only exchanged a few blows when he was trapped by the inescapable net. As for why he had managed to escape, no one knew. No. Jun Changshao thought, I have to find him as soon as possible. Traitors were definitely poisonous in the upper realm. No one was willing to have anything to do with them. After all, they were at odds with the Realm Hall. However, Goxing did not care, because he was my brother. TSK, the system said, you just want to trick him into joining the sect. Do you have to create a loyal and righteous persona? With news of his brother, Jun Changshao could no longer sit still. However, the 6 chief alchemists had yet to arrive, so he could only continue to wait at the Alchemy Hall headquarters. Of course. During this period, he would often wander around the teahouses and restaurants to obtain the latest news. He gradually found out that Gu Zhaoxi had made his move and destroyed a few branches of the Realm Hall. This feels great. Jun Changshao laughed. When he was in the lower realm, he was already unhappy with the Realm Hall. The more Gu Zhaoxi targeted this organization, the happier he was. He even wished that the two of them could join forces. To put it bluntly, this guy also had the heart of a traitor. Because their strength did not allow them to do so, and because the sect needed to develop steadily, they could only keep a low profile. In the future, if they were strong enough, it would be normal for them to fall out with the Realm Hall and become enemies. In that case, Empress Lingyao's prediction was spot on. However, the most serious consequence of going against the Realm Hall was to alert the 10 immortal sections. He did not know if Jinren Tonggu could handle it. A few more days passed. The 6 chief alchemists finally arrived. Jun has long heard that the chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall are all dragons among men in the field of alchemy. I am fortunate to meet you today. You really live up to your reputation. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said. Jun Patriarch is too kind. The 6 chief alchemists cupped their hands and said. Because they knew that Go Sheng's master was Jinren Tonggu and that he was going to work with the Alchemy Hall, they were very polite. 6. Jun Changshao went straight to the point. Are you interested in working for the Sect of all times? Bai Zhaoyang and the higher-ups almost fell off their chairs. 2 of the chief alchemists of the Alchemy Hall had already been recruited by him. Was he still not satisfied and wanted to pull in the other 6? Jun Patriarch. That was a little too much. Not a little, but rather too much. If the major sects could find a chief alchemist to work in the sect, they would want to set off firecrackers to celebrate. Gathering all 8 bosses in the sect was definitely something that they did not dare to think about. Not only did Jun Changshao dare to think about things that others did not dare to think about, he even dared to take action. This was the boldness of a sect master. The chief alchemist named Chen Xiao smiled and said, I am already an honorary elder in the Spirit Fusion Dao sect. The other 5 chief alchemists also tactfully expressed their rejection. Of the 8 top grandmasters of the Alchemy Hall, other than Feng Gui Chen and Du Hong Chen, they had all been roped in by the major sects, so they would not choose anyone else. It was fine. As long as they danced well, there was no corner that they could not poach. Jun Changshao smiled and said, as far as I know, the 6 of you are all working in the major sects with honorary titles. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with joining my sect of all times, right? Jun Patriarch. Chen Xiao said, everyone has their own aspirations, we can't force them. That's right. Jun Changshao agreed, everyone has their own aspirations, we can't force them. But have the 6 of you heard that a fine bird chooses a tree to nest in? Damn it! If I don't pull you into the sect in one chapter, my former sect master's surname will be written backwards. Chen Xiao and the other chief alchemists looked at each other, an awkward but polite smile appearing on their faces. Jun Changshao's master was Jinren Tonggu, and they respected him from the bottom of their hearts. But since they had already reached an agreement with the other sects, how could they switch to the sect of all times? Jun Patriarch. Bai Zhaoyang smiled and said, let's get down to business. This is business. Jun Changshao said. The other alchemy grandmasters in the Alchemy Hall could be used for cooperation, but the 6 chief alchemists had to be won over, because they were core technical talents. Moreover, the 8 chief alchemists had all become the hall masters of the Alchemy Hall of the sect of all times. If the news spread, it would definitely cause a sensation in the upper realm. Perhaps it could increase their reputation and gain a lot of reputation points. Go Sheng had tasted the sweetness of destroying the Fuqian sect and also found some rules. Therefore, recruiting 1 was recruiting 8 was also recruiting. If he wanted to play, he would play big. Bai Xiaoyang was a little embarrassed. Of course. Jun Changshao added, the 6 of you can work part-time in the sect of all times as honorary elders or hall masters. The 6 of them were at a loss. In the end, they could only look at Bai Xiaoyang for help. Hall master. We really don't want to join the sect of all times, quickly come and help us out. Bai Xiaoyang gave a "I understand" look, and then said, Jun Patriarch, in my opinion, Hall Master Bai. Jun Changshao interrupted him and said, as long as the 6 chief alchemists are willing to join the sect of all times, the ratio of the sales of the pills can be discussed again. 6. Bai Xiaoyang said seriously, I think you can consider Jun Patriarch's recruitment. After all, he has already shown enough sincerity. Chapter 1429. Jun Changshao was determined to recruit the 6 chief alchemists, so he would rather give some profits to the alchemy hall. Bai Xiaoyang immediately changed his mind. From helping his own people to helping others, his shamelessness was comparable to Go Sheng's. Of course. Otherwise, why would he be able to lower the price? Seeing the hall master change his mind because of the other party's words, the 6 chief alchemists collapsed. Hall master. Where is your bottom line? Jun Patriarch is so sincere, can you bear to reject him? He is Senior Tong Gu's direct disciple, to be able to work in his sect is definitely something that brings glory to our ancestors. If not for this old man's age, as long as Jun Patriarch wants to recruit me, I will definitely do my best to help. The higher-ups of the alchemy hall also joined in the persuasion. They were a group of shameless old men. During this period, they had already done all kinds of calculations, and the final conclusion was that if the 2 parties cooperated to spread their alchemy stores throughout the major cities, the profits would definitely be huge. Now that Jun Patriarch had given in, even if it was just a little bit, it would still benefit the alchemy hall. As long as they could benefit the common people, what did it matter if they joined the sect of all times? Not to mention, it was not a fire pit for them to jump into. Chen Xiao and the others fell into silence again. Since the hall master and the higher-ups had said so, if they did not give them face, they would feel bad. The alchemy hall's motto was freedom, and they would not force their members to do things they were unwilling to do. But in this system, they naturally could not be too stubborn. How about this? Jun Changshao said, the 6 of you can stay in the sect of all times for a month. If there is anything you are not satisfied with, you can leave at any time. Jun will definitely not stop you. Since he had already said so, if they insisted on refusing, it would be a bit unreasonable. Okay. Chen Xiao said, then we will go to Jun Patriarch's sect and stay for a month. He did not completely say that he was dead, obviously leaving a way out for himself, in case the other party latched onto him. Latched onto him? If Go Sheng knew, he would definitely laugh. Once you enter the sect of all times, regardless of whether you are staying temporarily or permanently, if you have any intention of leaving, I will immediately step down from my position as patriarch. After using the Eternal Tablet's magically modified hair growth agent, he was that confident. Seeing that the 6 chief alchemists had agreed, Bai Xiaoyang smiled and said, Jun Patriarch, how do you think we should discuss the distribution ratio? There's no rush. Jun Changshao said, let's wait for the 6 of you to stay in my sect for a month. Bai Xiaoyang understood. They were waiting for Chen Xiao and the others to express their stance a month later before deciding how much they would give up. Wrong. Jun Changshao was actually thinking. Let's put aside the matter of profits for now and wait for old Yuan to come over and have a good discussion with him. Sect of all times. After checking the total amount of medicinal herbs and seeds sent by the various clans, Li Qingyang exclaimed, Young Master Yuan, you're really good at bargaining. You're getting cheaper and cheaper each time. If this continues for a few more months, won't they have to pay for it? Yuan Feng, who was in Lin Yuan City, sat in the hall and took a sip of tea. He said, being invincible is so lonely. The 6 chief alchemists returned to the Pill Hall headquarters first. The alchemy masters, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade alchemists also entered Wushuang City one after another. This caused a heated discussion among the residents of the city. Strange. Why are they all back? Even the internal alchemy competition held every few years doesn't have so many people participating. Could it be something important? A few days later, the Pill Hall suddenly announced to the public that they had signed a strategic cooperation agreement with the Sect of All Times. When this news spread, it could be said that it was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. It immediately caused all the martial artists to fight over it. This is incredible. This Sect of All Times can actually establish a cooperative relationship with the Pill Hall. The Pill Hall focuses on alchemy. Both sides have reached an agreement. Could it be that they are going to sell herbs or pills together? Just as everyone was in heated discussion, the Sect of All Times and the Pill Hall had already started to move. One started to prepare treasure-level herbs, while the other started to dispatch alchemy experts to the Aeon Celestial Mountain. The 6 chief alchemists followed Jun Changshao back to the Sect of All Times first. They decided to stay there for a month before deciding whether to take up a post. A month. It was just a gesture. The Realm Hall had also heard about the cooperation between the Sect of All Times and the Pill Hall, so they specially brought it up for discussion during the regular meeting. How did this kid get attached to the Pill Hall again? The word attached was used exquisitely. In fact, Jun Changshao being able to cooperate with an authoritative alchemy organization had indeed greatly increased the sect's reputation and influence. However, it was still a cooperation. Although it caused a heated discussion in the upper realm, it didn't trigger any reputation rewards. Who cares? One of the higher-ups said, as long as he doesn't cause any trouble, it's fine. Jun Changshao had been unhappy with the Realm Hall for a long time, and the Realm Hall had been unhappy with him for a long time as well. Thus, they had been keeping an eye on the former to prevent him from getting any dirt on them. This kid only has Jinren Tonggu behind him. He might not be able to do much in the future. Right now, we should think of a way to get rid of Buried Moon Pavilion and Gu Zhaoxi as soon as possible, said one of the higher-ups. Humph, someone said coldly, she clearly found that traitor, but she actually let him escape. Empress Ling Yao's work is really worrisome. All the higher-ups nodded in agreement. Back then, the Realm Hall had only succeeded in capturing Gu Zhaoxi after a few hundred years. After failing once, they started to ridicule him. This group of old fellows was also shameless. What about Jin Hao? His injuries haven't healed yet. He hasn't healed after 2 years in the muscle regeneration pool. I heard that his injuries were very serious. There's a hole in his heart. What kind of divine ability did this Jun Changshao use to injure a 9th transformation stage cultivator so easily? Maybe it's some kind of high-grade treasure that Jinren Tonggu gave him. The moment these words were said, everyone was enlightened. If Jinren Tonggu knew about this, he would definitely break down and say, you can think of it however you want, but can you not drag me into it? Gurgle gurgle. In a pool surrounded by clouds and mist, the water inside seemed to be boiling. Jin Hao's head was exposed. His face was pale and he looked like he was in great pain. At this moment, the boundless vitality in the water was nourishing the rice-sized wound on his chest until it was completely healed. Then, he suddenly opened his eyes and said with killing intent, Jun Changshao, I will make you pay a painful price. It was a miracle that he survived the lightning rod's attack. Now that he had recovered, he naturally would not forget the grudge between him and Jun Changshao. In fact, it had evolved to the point where he would not rest until one of them was dead. Young master. An old servant walked over and said, Jia Hall sent a message earlier, asking you to assist Empress Ling Yao in finding the traitor Gu Zhaoxi. Gu Zhaoxi? Jin Hao said in surprise, this guy reincarnated again. The old servant said, recently, he destroyed 3 Jie Hall branches. Assist Empress Lingyao. Jin Hao said, could it be that Jie Hall can mobilize this woman? The old servant said, I heard that she volunteered to capture Gu Zhaoxi. Oh? Jin Hao walked out of the pool and used his true ability to wash off the water on his body. He put on the clothes he had prepared and said with interest, this woman is probably plotting something. Young master. The old servant transmitted, Master sent a secret letter. Saying so, he handed over a letter with a crescent moon engraved on it. Jin Hao took it and opened it. He used fire to burn the letter and said, go back and tell Jie Hall that my injuries have healed and I will assist Empress Lingyao in capturing Gu Zhaoxi. Yes. The old servant hurriedly left. Fastening his belt, Jin Hao thought to himself, Master probably can't hold it in this time and is about to make a move against Jie Hall, which represents the 10 great celestial sections. I wonder if the forces behind Empress Lingyao have such plans. Chapter 1430. Sect of All Times. Jun Changshao brought the other 6 head alchemists over. According to the agreement, they needed to stay here for a month and temporarily become honorary elders of the sect. The system reminded him, honorary elders aren't part of the sect's system. Even if they leave, their memories and martial arts won't be forcefully erased. Because of some overbearing measures, it was impossible for spies to infiltrate the sect of all times, so many things weren't spread to the outside world. But honorary elders were different. They could know everything and wouldn't be punished if they left the sect. Don't worry. Jun Changshao said, I'm confident. As long as they were tricked into coming over, if he couldn't make them have a good impression of the sect of all times, then what was the point of being a patriarch and recruiting talents? 6. After going through the simple procedures, Jun Changshao said, come with this king to the herb field. The first thing to make a good impression was to shock them, so it was necessary to let them know the characteristics of the sect of all times. In fact, it didn't matter whether or not the herb field was kept a secret, because in the end, he still had to cooperate with the Pill Hall and provide a large number of ordinary herbs that were comparable to heaven and earth treasures. Although Zhenren Tonggu was one of the reasons he was able to recruit Feng Guichen, taking him to see the herb field was also a part of the reason. And now, Gou Sheng was going to use the same trick again. Over the past 2 years, under Elder Wei's careful management and Page's crazy reclamation, the scale of the herb field was very large. Looking through the dense mist gathered in the sky, it could be said to be a lush green field, like an endless grassland. Chen Xiao and the others were in the middle of it, and their expressions gradually turned to shock. They had seen such a large herb field before, but they had never seen or even thought that every herb in it would emit the aura of a heaven and earth treasure. What was a heaven and earth treasure? It was a rare item that lived in a place where no one had set foot in and absorbed the essence of the sun and moon. If you were lucky, you might be able to find one in a mountain forest where very few people entered, but because of its rarity, it was destined not to appear in large quantities. Now that there were heaven and earth treasures everywhere in a sect's herb field, the scene was simply too terrifying. At this point, if the cartoonist didn't add enough special effects to the herbs, it would be very difficult to show the shocking visual effect. Unbelievable. Just how did they cultivate it? How did they make the most ordinary celestial emperor grass reach the level of a heaven and earth treasure? The 6 chief alchemists were all absolute experts in the field of alchemy, and their research in medicinal herbs was not weak either. At this moment, they were deeply shocked by the medicinal herbs in the medicinal field. Suddenly, they realized that the medicinal pills sold by the Eternal Alchemy Pharmacy, could it be that they originated from heavenly treasure-class medicinal herbs? Everyone should have thought of the same thing. Jun Changshao nodded, that's right, Feng Guichen relied on these herbs to refine high-quality pills. I see. I was wondering how an ordinary medicinal pill could have such a high effect. It turns out that the ingredients are good. At first, everyone thought that Feng Guichen being able to refine high-grade pills was because of the difference in pill recipes, but now that they knew the reason, it was obvious that they could refine pills as well. To tell you the truth, Jun Changshao continued, there is no technique to refine high-grade pills. With everyone's alchemy skills, you can definitely do it. However, only our sect of all times can grow these heaven and earth treasure medicinal herbs. Everyone agreed. If they had high-quality medicinal herbs, they could easily refine high-quality pills. However, it was impossible for them to grow the most common medicinal herbs into heaven and earth treasures. Therefore, in this aspect, the Eternal Sect was worthy of the word awesome. Jun Patriarch Chen Xiao cupped his hands and said, this Chen's horizons have been broadened today. Thank you, thank you. Jun Changshao said, this seat has ordered people to prepare the food. Please follow this seat to the cafeteria. As one of the two ironclad rules of the sect of all times, the most lethal one was undoubtedly the food aspect. For this reason, Lu Wancher, who had received the order early, started preparing 2 hours ago. Shwa! In the kitchen, Ma Yongning put on an apron and stopped in front of the chopping board. He put both hands into the bowl filled with flour and let his palms become completely smooth. Only then did he grab the kitchen knife. His eyes revealed the light of I am the knife is me. Paw! With a slap of his left hand, the vegetables that were washed by Qian Songbao suddenly shook. Shio 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 shio. The knife flashed, crisscrossing. From the slow motion, it could be clearly seen that every dish was affected, but because it was too fast, it always maintained an absolutely intact state. Ding! After a while, the kitchen knife was firmly inserted into the chopping board. Ma Yongning clapped his hands, picked up the wine cup beside him, and took a small sip. Oh Yangjun and the others, who were sitting at the back, raised their boards and gave full marks. Li Qingyang appeared in the camera and roared loudly, it's just cutting vegetables, how can there be a judge? 1 black and 2 black quickly walked over and placed all the cut vegetables into a basin. Before leaving, they even took the bowl of flour with them because they would use it to make soup later. After the ingredients were all prepared, the golden chef god Lu Wancher walked towards the stove while wearing an apron. It could be said that she made a dazzling entrance. In fact, she was responsible for the sect's meals every day. She should have been used to it, but this time, the patriarch told her that she had to give the 6 chief alchemists a soul attack in terms of food, so she could only give it her all. In short, Lu Wancher was going to be serious. How serious was she going to be? When she released the stove fire, she placed the pot on it and poured an appropriate amount of oil. She first took out her exclusive divine artifact, Rui Divine Dream, and then closed her eyes. Daughter, is she going to cook blindly? Oh Yangjun exclaimed. Wang! Suddenly, the word stove gradually appeared on the back of Lu Wancher's right hand, and then it formed a line that spread to her arm. Ho! A majestic aura suddenly erupted and shrouded the seemingly real old man behind her. On his forehead, the words, Chinese chef ancestor, were engraved. N. Jun Changshao, who was in the herb field, had a slight change in expression. His soul from China seemed to be touched by some kind of power, causing his blood to boil instantly. Shwa! In the kitchen, Lu Wancher opened her eyes. The seemingly real old man behind her also opened his eyes. Ho! A powerful cooking aura instantly filled the cafeteria, deeply shocking Ou Yangjun, Qian Songbao, and the others. Jun Changshao's spiritual sense spread over and saw the word stove flickering on the back of Lu Wancher's right hand, as well as the terrifying old man behind her. He exclaimed, could this be the special effect of Dudu's words, summoning my Chinese chef Zhu Yin? Chen Xiao and the others also noticed the special aura, but after all, they didn't know much about cooking, so they still focused on the heaven and earth treasures. Shwa! Shwa! In the kitchen, after Lu Wancher activated the special effect of the word stove, she grabbed the Rui Divine Dream with one hand and began to cook seriously. The cooking aura gathered in the cafeteria also became stronger. Half an hour later, Jun Changshao brought Chen Xiao and the others to the cafeteria. The dishes were already prepared, but they were all covered by an opaque container on the table. "The six of you, please take a seat. Please." Everyone sat down. Chen Xiao didn't understand and asked, "Jun Patriarch, why do you need to cover these dishes?" "Because you need to preserve the freshness," Jun Changshao said. "I see." The six chief alchemists understood, but they thought to themselves, "I've eaten many top chefs' dishes before, but I've never seen it so troublesome." "Girl," Jun Changshao said, "can we open it now?" Lu Wancher gave Black 1 and Black 2 a look, and the two of them hurriedly walked forward and took down the containers in order. However, the moment they opened the two dishes, light flickered from the inside and instantly enveloped the entire cafeteria. Under the gorgeous light, Chen Xiao and the others subconsciously crossed their hands in front of their eyes and leaned back. Their hearts were in a perilous situation. Oh my God! This isn't a dish, but the most luxurious heaven and earth treasures. Chapter 1431. Jun Changxiao's intention was to use the herbs to shock the six chief alchemists, and then use the food to tie their hearts. Using both methods, he was as steady as an old dog. The herbs were indeed quite shocking, but Lu Wancher was even more valiant as she directly used her big move. Normally, the home-cooked dishes she made in the sect were all delicacies. Now that she was serious and used special effects, who could resist this? Not only did the six chief alchemists not resist, but they were also unable to open their eyes due to the light. What they opened was not a dish. What they opened was a table full of dazzling jewels. Damn! Jun Changshao was also shocked. This kind of flashing special effects as an appetizer was simply too shocking. It looked, smelled, and tasted good. It was not enough for a dish to just be fancy. The taste was the most important. It's coming, it's coming. After all the dishes were opened, under the effect of the table full of special effects, the fragrance of the dishes floated out and seeped into everyone's heart. It instantly brought a great impact to their souls. Including Jun Changshao, everyone who smelled the fragrance of the dishes seemed to have entered a wonderful realm. Some were in the wild, some were in the clear lake, and some were in the night sky with twinkling stars. Just the smell alone was enough to make people's souls leave their bodies. This was a real delicacy. After a while, Chen Xiao and the others' souls returned to their bodies. They looked at the dazzling dishes on the table with a shocked expression. Finally, they could not suppress their emotions and blurted out in their hearts, "Damn! Damn!" The 8 chief alchemists were all uncultured. Seeing the shock on their faces, Jun Changshao smiled proudly and said, "Simple tea and plain food, I didn't serve you well." The corners of Chen Xiao and the others' mouths twitched. If this was simple tea and plain food, then the food they ate before could be described as shit. As the saying goes, if there was no business, there would be no killing. If there was no comparison, there would be no harm. The dishes made by Lu Wancher at full power had already conquered them just from the color and taste. "The 6 of you, please." Jun Changshao said this, but he took the chopsticks and started eating first. After all, the dishes made by this girl made people drool just by smelling them. Under normal circumstances, when the 6 chief alchemists came to an unfamiliar place, they would definitely be very polite, but at this moment, they didn't care about their status or demeanor. They all picked up their bowls and chopsticks and began eating, as if they had been starving for several days. He picked up a piece of meat and gently placed it into his mouth. Boom! Chen Xiao felt as if his insides were about to explode after tasting it. The impact brought about by the delicacy not only caused his pores to stand up, but even his hair to stand on end. Pang pang pang. After the other chief alchemists tasted it one by one, their hairstyles all changed to the Golden Lion King. The most exaggerated one was Jun Changshao. After tasting the delicacies, not only did his hair stand straight, it even fell off. His shiny head could be used as a mirror. The delicious food seeped into his body and stimulated his scalp greatly. That was why he touched his old ailment of hair loss. An hour later, Jun Changshao, Chen Xiao, and the other 5 walked out of the canteen. The effects of gourmet shock hadn't ended yet. His soul was still floating in the sky, and even his steps felt like they were floating. It was too fragrant. It was too delicious. That was fucking awesome. At this moment, they could only use the simplest and most unadorned words to describe their inner feelings. Jun Patriarch. Chen Xiao cupped his hands and said, I have never seen the dishes of your esteemed sect before. You flatter me. Jun Changshao said modestly, this is just the most ordinary home-cooked dishes. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Everyone was speechless. This modesty was a little too much. Of course. Jun Changshao said, if the 6 of you stay in my sect of all times, you can naturally eat as much home-cooked food as you want. This, Chen Xiao and the others were very tempted. With high-quality herbs that could be used to refine pills, and with delicacies that could be eaten as much as they wanted, it would be a lie if they could still remain calm. Jun Changshao knew that going too far was as bad as falling short, so he didn't force them to express their opinions immediately. Instead, he ordered Li Qingyang to arrange accommodation for them, planning to boil the frog in warm water. After that, Chen Xiao and the others spent their days either in the herb field or in the canteen. Their days were simple and unadorned. A month later, Jun Changshao called them to the main hall and said, the 6 of you, the time we set is up. You can leave at any time now. Jun Patriarch. Chen Xiao cupped his hands and said, if you don't mind, I am willing to be an honorary elder in your esteemed sect. He was also an honorary elder previously, but he was considered a temporary worker. Now, he wanted to be a permanent worker for no other reason than that he was completely captivated by the high-quality herbs and delicacies. We are also willing to stay. The other 5 chief alchemists expressed their opinions. You can stay. Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and said with a serious expression, but I hope that you can serve the sect wholeheartedly and not do part-time jobs. This, everyone fell silent. Chen Xiao said, Jun Patriarch, what do you mean? Jun Changshao finally tore off the sheepskin on his body, revealing the ferocious appearance of a wolf. Remove all the honorary elders from the various sects and officially become the Pill Hall Master of the Sect of all times. The Pill Hall does not restrict you from doing part-time jobs, but as long as you join the Sect of all times, you must be wholeheartedly devoted. Go Sheng would definitely not say these words in the beginning. Now that the 6 of them had stayed in the sect for 30 days, they could naturally open their hearts. Moreover, Jun Changshao said seriously, if you are sincere in joining the sect of all times, you can also cultivate martial arts related to alchemy and improve faster. The 6 chief alchemists were at a loss. Jun Patriarch. Chen Xiao said awkwardly, we have an agreement with the various sections. If we leave just like that, I'm afraid, Jun Changshao interrupted, this is your problem. You have to solve it. There is no need to discuss this problem. Listen to me. The 6 of them looked at each other. Their expressions were a little interesting. Jun Patriarch let them stay for a month and arranged accommodation and food. He deliberately made them dependent on him. It was too late. They were addicted. They could not quit. All right. Chen Xiao compromised. I am willing to resign from my position in the various sects and become the Pill Hall Master of the Sect of all times. The other 5 also expressed their willingness to become a member of the Sect of all times after careful consideration. 6 of you. Fill in the entry form. Sigh. Chen Xiao and the rest sighed. They felt like they had boarded a pirate ship. The system sighed. Since ancient times, true feelings cannot keep people. Only tricks can win people's hearts. After filling in the entry form, they stamped the sect seal. From then on, the 8 chief alchemists of the Pill Hall gathered in the sect of all times and were all appointed as hall masters. They were known as the Eternal 8 Heroes of Alchemy. On the same day, Jun Changshao passed the Thousand Shadows art to Chen Xiao and the rest. After they read through it briefly, their uncultured side was instantly revealed. They began to cultivate in seclusion as if they had obtained a treasure. Why didn't you take out such a good martial art earlier? Why did you have to waste our time for a month? Actually, Jun Changxiao's initial plan was to use medicinal herbs and delicacies to tempt them. If it really did not work, he would use the Thousand Shadows art. He did not expect them to be so. A few days later, the Sect of All Times announced to the public that the 8 chief alchemists of the Pill Hall had all joined the Sect of All Times. The collaboration with the Pill Hall had already caused quite a stir. Now that 8 top alchemists had all joined a sect with no ranking, the shock was earth-shattering. TSK, TSK. Masato Kitano, who was outside the extreme cave abode, held a chess piece and said, "To rope in all the chief alchemists of the Pill Hall, your disciple is quite capable." Ha ha ha. Jinren Tonggu laughed. If he didn't have some skills, how could he be my disciple? Little guy. Look at how cocky you are. Ding. Rope in the 8 chief alchemists of the Pill Hall and cause a stir in the upper realm. Obtain 200 sect reputation points. Ding. Sect reputation points, 200. As expected. After hearing the notification, Jun Changshao thought to himself, just as I thought. The more famous a sect was in the upper realm, the more reputation points would be rewarded. This made him find a new target, so he rubbed his hands and said, if I overthrow the realm hall in the future, will I get more reputation points? Jinren Tonggu, who was feeling proud, suddenly held his head and said, why does my head hurt for no reason? Chapter 1432. The sect's hall master was usually assigned with many deputy hall masters. However, the Sect of All Times did not take the usual path because there were 8 hall masters in the medicine hall here, and none of them were deputy hall masters. Let me ask you, is this awesome? In fact, Jun Changshao could appoint one person as the hall master and the others as deputy hall masters, but out of respect for the 8 of them, he let them all be hall masters. Moreover, both hall masters and deputy hall masters were required to refine pills, so it was not important at all. After winning over the 8 chief pill masters, the pill masters and level 1, 2, and 3 pill masters from the pill hall came to the sect one after another. Thus, the next step of the plan was to open branches in the major cities. Patriarch Li Luocho said, we've already found the shops in the designated cities, and they're currently renovating. They'll be able to open for business soon. Jun Changshao nodded. As the pill hall had sent many talents, his current small goal was to open 100 branches first. Elder Wei was speechless. With so many branches, we won't be able to supply the herbs. Based on the heaven and earth treasure-grade herbs that the Sect of All Times currently stored, it would not be a problem to supply a few pill shops, but if they were to supply 100 shops, it would definitely be over. It's fine, it's fine. Jun Changshao said, the pill shops will also sell the more common pills in the world. High-quality pills would definitely be sold, but they would definitely not be sold like normal goods. After all, the rarer the goods, the more expensive they were. The shops in each city were working overtime to renovate, and because of the distance, the pill masters who had arrived at the sect started to move as well. If there were no accidents, the ancient pill pharmacy industry would suddenly cover a large area in the upper realm, and even bring about a heavy blow to the industry. This is only the first step. Jun Changshao, who was standing in the main hall, said with his hands behind his back, we'll open other industries later on, and make the sect completely rich. Go Sheng's current development path was to focus on earning money first, and once he had gathered enough resources and improved his overall strength, he would be able to do whatever he wanted. In this way, the upper realm could at least be stable for a while during his wretched development process. No. Without Go Sheng's interference, the chaos would continue. For example, the buried moon pavilion, which was hidden in the dark, and Gu Zhaoxi, who was constantly in the cycle of life and death, were actively looking for trouble with the realm hall. The entire upper realm began to become restless. Patriarch Li Luoqiu said, recently, there's a guy called Gu Zhaoxi who's been targeting the Jie Hall. In just a few months, he's broken many branches. The Drizzle Hall's intelligence agency had developed in the past 2 years, so there was first-hand news sent to them every day. As the Hall Master, she had also returned to how she was in the lower realm. As long as the Patriarch was at home, she would report to him on time. Can you find him? Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu shook her head and said, this person hides in the dark and opposes the Jie Hall. With the current abilities of the Drizzle Hall, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to find him. Jun Changshao said, then pay more attention to news about him. He was basically certain that Gu Zhaoxi was the tattooed man he met in the Starry Sky Fortress, so he eagerly looked forward to the day when they could reunite. Brother, where are you? Just as Go Sheng was talking to himself, Gu Zhaoxi, who had just destroyed a branch of the Jie Hall, stood alone on a mountain peak. He looked up at the sky and said, Brother, are you still in the lower realm? Whoosh! Suddenly, a cloud of mist quietly appeared behind him, and Empress Ling Yao's dissatisfied voice came, why haven't you left for the Sect of all times? Gu Zhaoxi said lightly, are you ordering me? No. Empress Ling Yao said, I'm helping you. Gu Zhaoxi said disdainfully, I've already asked around about this Sect of all times. They've just ascended to the upper realm and have Jinren Tonggu as their backer. How can they help me overthrow the Jie Hall? Or perhaps. He paused and said, your goal is not for me to seek help from the Sect of all times, but to drag Jinren Tonggu down with you? The Jie Hall has the support of the 10 great immortal sects. It's hard to destroy them alone, so why can't you find more help? Empress Ling Yao said. Because, Gu Zhaoxi's face showed a slightly sinister smile. Then it's no fun. Empress Ling Yao said, you're crazy. Don't worry. Gu Zhaoxi said, since I've promised you, I'll naturally go to the Sect of all times. But before that, I'll have to destroy a few branches and let the Jie Hall feel pain. The Jie Hall has sent many strong fighters. I hope you don't get caught. Empress Ling Yao said and disappeared into the mist. TSK Gu Zhaoxi snorted. A woman who pretends to be mysterious. How annoying. Master. One of his subordinates said, she's definitely up to no good. We have to be careful, or else we'll be betrayed by her. Smack. Gu Zhaoxi punched him in the head and roared, do you think I'm stupid and naive? The various forces targeting the Jie Hall were ready to make a move. It was as if the sun had sunk in the pavilion at the beginning of a storm. The commotion in the outside world had nothing to do with Jun Changshao. At this moment, he was doing his job, peacefully outlining his business territory. TSK. The system sighed. If you don't cause trouble in the upper realm, the host's design will be ruined. Scram. Jun Changshao cursed in his heart. I'm not a troublemaker. I came to the upper realm with 4 words, keep a low profile and develop. He wasn't bragging. If it weren't for the careless upgrade of the Spirit Beast Pavilion, which led to the major clans besieging the Sect of all times, Go Sheng would have kept a low profile after coming to the upper realm. At least, the amount of trouble he caused could be counted with one hand. It was mainly because he had Jinren Tonggu as his backer that everyone tactfully avoided him. Otherwise, he would be ridiculed when he went out, his female disciples were molested, and the old came after he beat up the young one. This would have happened at least n times. Patriarch. Yuan Gongzi was puzzled. Why did you summon me? There'll be a guest in 2 days, and I need you to entertain him well. Jun Changshao said. Oh? Yuan Gongzi immediately became serious. This guest's identity isn't simple, right? Not simple. Jun Changshao said, Hall Master of the Pill Hall. Yuan Gongzi hurriedly saluted. I'll definitely entertain the guest well. A few days later, Bai Zhaoyang came. He already knew that Qin Xiao and the others had joined the Sect of All Times as Hall Masters, so he was currently in a very good mood. According to the previous verbal agreement, since these people had become part of the Sect of All Times, both sides could have a good discussion about the commission. In short, Bai Zhaoyang did not hesitate to personally come to the Sect of All Times from Wushuang City this time to fight for the biggest profit for the Pill Hall. Since the guest had arrived, he definitely had to entertain him well. Jun Changshao ordered Lu Wancher to prepare a sumptuous meal and invite him to the hall where he lived. Please. Please. Bai Zhaoyang sat down and looked at Yuan Gongzi, who was accompanying the guest, and said, I'm the Deputy Patriarch of the Sect of All Times, Yuan Feng, Jun Changshao said. Yuan Gongzi was instantly stunned. In the past, when the Patriarch introduced him, he would always say, Fu. Today, his tone changed to Deputy. Could it be that he had acknowledged him? He was so touched that he wanted to cry. I see. Bai Zhaoyang stood up and cupped his hands. Deputy Patriarch Yuan, I apologize for my lack of manners. Hall Master Bai has come from afar. If there is anything that is not satisfactory, please forgive me. Yuan Gongzi also stood up, and immediately had the demeanor of a deputy patriarch. After exchanging some pleasantries, the two sat down. Hall Master Bai. Jun Changshao said, the business matters of the Sect of All Times have always been handled by the deputy patriarch, so if there is anything, you can look for him. Yuan Gongzi was stunned again. Go Sheng called him over from Lin Yuan City and did not tell him that he was going to discuss business with the Pill Hall, so he was not mentally prepared at all. Bai Zhaoyang said, since Jun Patriarch is talking about business, this old man will not beat around the bush. After saying that, he looked at Yuan Gongzi. This old man's eyes have an extremely strong bargaining power, he should be a very troublesome character. Thinking of this, Yuan Feng put his hands on his temples and gently stroked the back of his head. He smiled and said, just say it. Plop. After half an hour, Jun Changshao passed out on the table drunk. It was not that he could not handle the alcohol, but after Yuan Gongzi and Bai Zhaoyang's confrontation, the whole process was too fierce, so fierce that his head hurt like it was about to split open. In the end, he simply chose to let the alcohol in his body wantonly explode, using drunkenness to escape. Deputy Patriarch Yuan, Hall Master Bai, although your hall has provided talents in the field of pills, the heaven and earth treasure great herbs provided by the Sect of All Times are the key to determining the quality of the pills, so this price is reasonable and there is nothing wrong with it. No, the Alchemy Hall also has its own businesses, and it has quite a bit of power in the upper realm. However, you have to know that if my ancient alchemy pharmacy spreads throughout the entire upper realm, the profits we earn every day can definitely be described as terrifying. Hence, even if we only give you 1/10, it's still a huge figure. There's no need to talk anymore. At this point, the Sect of All Times can no longer take a step back. If your hall thinks that it's a loss, I'm sorry, but we can't do business. The 8 first seats of my Pill Hall, Feng Guichen and the others are sincere in joining the Sect of All Times. If Hall Master Bai uses them as bargaining chips, it'll be a little disappointing. Another half an hour passed. Creak. The door was pushed open, and Yuan Gongzi walked out confidently. He put his hands on his temples and pushed them back, saying, being invincible is so lonely. The camera panned to the side, and through the only view in the hall, Jun Changshao was drunk on the table, and Bai Zhaoyang was lying under the table with his eyelids rolled up and white foam coming out of his mouth. From the state of each other, it was obviously KO. Chapter 1433. After a series of friendly negotiations, the Sect of All Times and the Alchemy Hall reached an agreement. The alchemists they sent would receive more rewards based on their basic salary. To put it simply, they would be given a fixed salary every month, and it would be calculated based on their workload. This was actually similar to Jun Changxiao's fixed salary, but it was just another calculation. Bai Zhaoyang agreed. Facing the king of bargaining, he couldn't win against him, so he could only give in. He came prepared. Yuan Gongzi didn't know about this from the beginning to the end. He just accepted the challenge hastily. Hall Master Bai. Jun Changxiao said, as long as you and I cooperate sincerely, Jun will definitely not mistreat you in terms of profits. He was in urgent need of money now, so he was stingy. When he made a lot of money in the future, he would definitely give the profits to his partner. Sigh. Bai Zhaoyang sighed secretly. The 8 chief alchemists had all joined the Sect of All Times, and the alchemists of all levels were already in place. At this point, he could only pray that the capitalist would have a conscience and work with him. Jun Patriarch, there are still things to deal with in the Alchemy Hall. I'll take my leave first. Have a meal before you leave. Hall Master Bai wasn't in the mood to eat. After a few polite words, he set off for Wushuang City. When he came, he was majestic, but when he left, his back was full of vicissitudes. On Dragon Spine Peak, Yuan Gongzi stood proudly, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Behind him, Su Xiaoma and Xiao Ziji fanned themselves with their fans, providing the Vice Patriarch with the highest class. Hall Master Bai. Watching the old figure leave, Yuan Gongzi said to himself, "You're a good opponent. I hope we can compete again in the future." After the negotiation, Jun Changxiao didn't stay idle. He invested all his energy and funds into the branch stores. Money was spent like water. There was no choice. Renting the stores required money, and so did renovations. In just 1 month, the Sect of All Times' 2 years of profits were all spent by Go Sheng. Fortunately, Yuan Gongzi and Bai Zhaoyang had discussed in advance that the first 3 months after the opening of the branch stores would reduce their salary. Otherwise, with the sect's current wealth, they wouldn't be able to support 100 branches at the same time. One day, Jun Changxiao gathered all his disciples and said in a loud voice, "From today onwards, all of you are to tighten your belts." Yes. In the cafeteria. Of the senior of the sect of all of you, of course, or I can't nutrition, on of seniors. Of senior of brother of all times. Sect master said that we have to be frugal with our meals, Lu Wancher said. Even though Su Xiaoma was upset, she still finished it all. After all, any simple and unadorned ingredients could be turned into delicacies in the hands of the god of cookery. On, on. On it's. To the point. Page. Jun Changxiao stood on the mountain peak and looked down at the area surrounded by mist. Thank you for your hard work. The ancient elixir store was the sect's main source of profit. All of this was due to Page's hard work. Therefore, in terms of contribution, it was the biggest. Go Sheng remembered. Go Sheng didn't forget. Wasn't he here to visit and express his condolences? Page listened and said, "For master, for the sect, it's not hard at all." What level are you now? Barely comparable to the middle void-piercing realm. So fast? Jun Changxiao's eyes widened. Little Dragon only entered the upper void-piercing realm after entering the 3rd form. It only had the bloodline of a holy beast. Compared to the bloodline of a dragon emperor, it was like heaven and earth. Yet, it could break through to the middle void-piercing realm. Page said, "If it weren't for Master's nourishing earth, I wouldn't have improved so quickly." Since the lower realm, it had been responsible for reclamation and construction. It was the kind of labor that made people's heart ache. However, at the same time, its hard work was also exchanged for great returns. Its strength improved very quickly. Now, It had become the strongest contract beast other than Little Dragon. Jun Changshao said, "You can achieve what you have now through hard work. No one can help you, not even me." Of course, the improvement of strength was related to the nourishing earth. However, Gosheng only provided it with a platform. Whether it could become stronger in the end depended on its own perseverance. Little Dragon had the noble bloodline of the Dragon clan. Even if it was sleeping, it would improve. Although Paige had the bloodline of a holy beast, it was very ordinary in the upper realm. Therefore, the two could be said to be the representatives of aristocrats and commoners. Aristocrats were born noble. Commoners were born lowly. No. As long as they were willing to work hard, as long as they had perseverance. Even if their starting point was lower than others, they could still catch up. Reclamation day and night, eating dirt every moment, and finally having Paige comparable to the middle void-piercing realm was the best proof. It was an inspirational brother. Reader, I'm so poor that I eat dirt every day. Why didn't I become stronger? Do you still remember the promise between us? I remember. It was because of the power of the promise that Paige had been spurring it to work hard and improve. That was how it achieved today. The upper realm is very big and very dangerous. Jun Changshao said, "I hope you can continue to work hard in the future and face the storm together with me. I won't let you down, Master. I'll work harder." The blood in Paige's body was ignited again. Jun Changshao's face showed a gratified expression. Then, he pointed to an area in the distance and said, "Then hurry up and reclaim the wasteland." The system roared, "After talking for so long, you still want it to do manual labor. Why do you use this method on your own contract beast so badly? What do you know?" Jun Changshao said, "I'm just encouraging it." He too. After talking with its master, Paige was greatly encouraged and once again entered the mode of reclaiming the wasteland. The land was improved one by one and was suitable for planting medicinal herbs. Sun Bukong and the others seized the time to sow seeds and did their best to provide alchemy materials for the alchemy store that was about to open. Patriarch Li Luoqiu said, "The Xingxia city branch has been renovated. The alchemists of the alchemy hall are also in place. What about the progress of the other cities?" "About a few days. It should be all done." Jun Changshao flipped through the almanac and said, "It will be an auspicious day in half a month. It's suitable for opening. Inform all the branches to prepare." "Yes." Li Luoqiu hurriedly spread the news to the various cities. The branches that had been renovated in advance began to prepare for the opening ceremony. As for the alchemists, they had already begun to refine all kinds of pills. There was a limited number of heaven and earth treasures. Each branch could only get a small amount, so they could only refine ordinary pills for the time being. At the same time, a large number of Drizzle Hall members left the sect and set up a sound transmission network along the way. Half a month later, firecrackers boomed in the various cities, and gongs and drums filled the air. Signs with the words "Ancient Alchemy Store" were unveiled one after another on the busiest streets. In the beginning, no one paid too much attention to it. After all, shops opened frequently in the city. However, when the news began to spread through the surrounding cities, when everyone realized that many places had branches of this alchemy store, it immediately caused quite a stir. "Oh no, oh no! This ancient alchemy store actually has branches in several dozen cities. Looks like they're going to set foot in the alchemy industry on a large scale. I heard that the profound vitality pills sold by this alchemy store are over 10 times more effective than regular pills. See Mon, let's go take a look." "Let's not go. These high-grade pills have already been snapped up by the various large clans." Before the opening of the alchemy store, Jun Changshao did not advertise it at all. However, many large clans that had purchased pills from Lin Yuan City had already begun their preparations after receiving the news. The Drizzle Hall. Li Tian and the others sat in a row in the main hall. The various sound transmission networks they had set up all sent them news. The branch in Qingyang City has been opened for 2 hours, with a profit of 860,000 per found stones. The branch in Starcloud City has been opened for 2 hours, with a profit of 2,400,000 per found stones. The branch in XX City has been opened for 2 hours, with a profit of 1,200,000 per found stones. The members responsible for receiving the news all called out the real-time profits, which were then entered into the formation by people in charge. The numbers on the screen of light on the wall changed rapidly. Jun Changshao sat across from him with his hands crossed, staring at it without blinking. Patriarch. Ding Xingwang said excitedly, it broke through 100 million in an hour. Jun Changshao leaned back in his chair tactically before crossing his hands on his legs. He said, that's within expectations. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.